favorite franchises of all time?
Mario Kart, of course. Is it Lario Kart or is it Wario Kart? To find that out, let's take a look at the cups.
I am the inspector for this evening, and today I am committing an audit on all 89, yes there's 89, of the Mario Kart cups today. Well, not 89 because we made that 78 cups actually, because the live circuit cups, these Mario Luigi cups and the All Cup Tour have been omitted from this list. So let's get on to the G tier, or what I've labeled this is just sad. It's like so bad that it's like I'm not even angry, I'm just sad. What do you think is in my G tier? We actually have 5 cups in here, and I'm gonna cover them all at one time. If you guessed the Super Circuit Extra Cups, congratulations, you earned a gold medal. I don't really have these in a particular order, so you 5 are not getting any slack from me today. For those of you who don't know, the extra tracks were a little bonus in Mario Kart Super Circuit. Very good, I know. However, these courses lacked most of their obstacles from Super Mario Kart, besides the regular obstacles. That's what made them so compelling. These tracks are now just turns, and turns, in which in a game that you've already played 20 tracks of, like, you're just turning with actual obstacles. Just turning mindlessly is not really that fun. Let's just go over this cup for a minute. These cups. So the extra mushroom cup is just put to the sleeve. The extra flower cup is just a whole lot of mid. The lightning cup is star cup is just upsetting, and the extra special cup is very disappointing. What's normally supposed to be the best nitro cup in a game. There is one positive, if I think. The coin locations have been changed so that each track has 50 coins, so then you know that you collected all the coins on a track. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, then I'm already out of ideas. Yeah, that's really bad. So I think no one's gonna complain when I put all the extra cards down here. Is that fair? I think it is. And to think that this is the literal epitome of Mario Kart tracks. Well, technically cups in this case, but you get the idea. And it's so bad that I don't even, like, we literally had to make another tier just for these cups. That's how bad they are. And despite the fact that I kinda like Super Circuit, these tracks just weren't a good bonus. And you might be wondering, why the G tier? Some of these tracks are pretty decent. Well, that's pretty simple. If I can get to it, that is. If I can get to the thing. No, it's not here? Okay. So basically, in order to even unlock these tracks, you had to play all the cups, all these cups twice on 100, 150 and 50cc twice. Try to reiterate, twice. And as well as that, you had to collect 100 coins on all these cups, both times on 1cc. You could only unlock the, and if you only did say Mushroom Cup 100 coins twice, then you could only unlock Extra Mushroom Cup for 50cc. So you basically had to do this. So play these cups twice with 100 coins on 3cc's, and this is my reward. I'm sorry, dude. This is so sad. Not making the cut today, Super Circuit. But now we get on to the F tier, or what I've labeled very critically, get out! Sorry, let me rephrase. Get out! Sorry, one more time. I think get out is a bit too generic, so I'm going to change this to falling off the track. Yeah, I know, I really brought my A game this time. Wow, your dials are blown up. Anywho, what do you think is in my F tier? prediction time. Prediction time is now closed. If you guessed the Banana Cup Mario Kart 8 version, well, congratulations, you earned a gold medal. But it's not like Mario Kart 8's Banana Cup, despite being so atrocious. This is not the worst one, this one's the second worst one. You know what? Want to know what's the actual worst one? Mario Kart DS's Banana Cup. This one is just slightly worse than its original cousin, but they're both equally as horrible. I think I need to use something an adjective other than horrible, but anywho, continuing on. So, I think on a more mechanical form, Banana Cup is like the flower cup of the retro tracks. Because you can excuse the shell cups a bit. It's like, oh, it's like you're opening up. The Banana Cup is like, dude, it's like you know what we're working with. Take the 7 version for example. You start off with Cooper. So if I recall correctly, 7's Mushroom Cup had N64 Luigi Raceway, GBA BC1, Wii Mushroom Gorge, and DS Luigi Mansion. That was a very good starting cup, but 7 cranks up the standards to 11 with Koopa Beach, which is very good, Mario Circuit 2, serviceable, and then Coconut More and World Pinball, which speak for themselves. What does the 8 Deluxe version have? None of that actually. We start with a mid, more likely bad desert track. Then we get onto a poorly done remake, at least in my opinion. Then we go to a alright. To be fair, I will give it that up for that. Royal Raceway, good, but like the thing is just you can't get onto the. You just can't get into the castle anymore. Then we get to DK Jungle, which is also decent, but given how bad the first 2 tracks were, I'm not really gonna give it a lot of slack here. That's not even getting into one that's slightly worse than that, which is the DS version. So, something you might not know about DS was that it's the first game to include Retro Cups, and it's the 5th game in the series, so which means there were 4 tracks before them. Therefore, I feel like the Nintendo staff at the time were just like, oh, we need to keep it consistent. Which is why each Retro Cup starts off with a Super Nintendo track, continues with an N64 track, goes on for a GBA track, and concludes with a GameCube track. Now we have Donut Plains 1, which is just Strawberry Snowland, which I'll admit is a tad better considering how the Snowman don't screw you up like they did in N64. Say skill issue or you want, I don't care. Then we get to GBA BC2, which is just okay, think about it. Because if you have no idea, because if you don't know, it has a gimmick in which you have to, if I can't find it, I swear to God, nothing is good today. But if you think about GBA BC2 has a lot of ramps that you need to get over, and most of those don't go over the entire lava pit. And in the original, you at least had time to maneuver your way out of it. The DS, on the other hand, does not let you. But that's not even the worst one in the cup. You want to know what's the actual worst one in the cup? By a noticeable decent margin, GameCube Baby Park. How do they make one of the greatest tracks from Mario Kart Double Dash and turn it into a just unbelievable? I cannot believe they managed to do that. And so I will be sending the mods later today to burn down the building. Is that bad? I think it is. We have one more F tier though. What do you think it is? For the final F tier in my house of cups, we have Flower Cup, the super version. I think I need to reword that, but Super Mario Kart's Flower Cup is it. Now, Super Mario Kart is pretty unique if you think about it, considering it's the only game in the entire series to have 5 tracks per cup instead of 4. Now, this could make for interesting diversion, but anyway, let's go on to the tracks. Choco Island 1, it eases you in a little bit. It's pretty simple, but you can excuse it a little bit because it's more, because I mean it's the beginning of the game, because it's the start of the cup. You could excuse them. Ghost Valley 2 is just an unnecessary difficulty slide. Because like how it goes from eating a jalapeno to just eating, to just straight drinking hot sauce. It's not good, okay? Ghost Valley 2 is way too difficult. And then we get to Donut Plains 2, which is okay, I guess, but it's not really all that good because there's a ton of hairpin turns, and with this engine, it just doesn't work well. Okay? Now we get on to Bowser Castle 2, which I actually really like because it's pretty challenging, but you can excuse it a little bit because it's the penultimate track in this cup, so you can excuse it for being a bit difficult. And for being the odd middle child of the Bowser Castle trio in this game, it actually works pretty well if you think about it. And then finally, Mario Circuit 3. This track does not deserve to be made 6 times. I mean, just look at this. It's mid, and I think Mario Circuit 4, despite being an inverted layout, having the exact same layout except it's inverted, actually does it better in my eyes. So I think no one's gonna complain. Get down there, Mario Kart. It's kind of surprising how we had to go through 5 special cup tracks, 2 banana cup tracks. Well, 5 special cups, 5 extra cups, and 2 banana cups to get to a Super Nintendo cup. Because Super Mario Kart is often believed for being the worst in the series, and I just think, I mean it is, but it's not, it doesn't deserve all that hate. But then we go from the F tier, falling off the track, to the D. Yeah, so for your information, there are some cups in this selection that are so in between that I can't put them in the D or the F tier. Instead, we have the E tier, or what I labeled, what noob came up with this, eh? What noob? What do you think is my first E tier? For the first cup in the E tier, we're gonna go with This should have been in the F tier for some, but this is my list. We're going with the Cherry Cup, which is often referred to as the worst booster course pass cup. And look at it, it's easy to see why, because this is pretty bad. Because Los Angeles Labs, the music is actually pretty disappointing, and the track itself is very missed opportunity because there was so many chances to use a Ferris wheel or a Hollywood sign, or maybe, well, I've never been to LA, but anyway, there was still so much missed opportunities here. And then Sunset Wilds. Nintendo, go bring back the sunset, and then you go on to a butchered version of Koopa Cake. Seriously, the Nintendo devs just will not stop butchering Koopa Cake. I don't know why. And then we go on to a Vancouver Velocity, which, to be fair, it is pretty decent. It's my favorite. It has my favorite. The music in Vancouver Velocity in particular is, in my opinion, the best song to have graced the entire series. I think that intro speaks for itself, but anyway. Is it enough to save this cup? No, absolutely not. Is it enough to keep it out of the F tier though? I'd say so, yeah. And spoiler alert, I'm making another Mario Kart 8 Deluxe vid, and it does make my S tier, which saves it from the F tier. Congrats, Cherry Cup. You're staying up here, though that's not an achievement. What do you think? Next up, we have a dual entry of the same version of a cup. Prediction time! The Shell Cup. Congratulations! You've earned a trophy. And if you guessed Mario Kart World Special Cup to come in first, well then, you are amazing. Now, if you think about it, Koopa Troopa Beach is... Well, when I first played Koopa Troopa Beach, I was pretty shocked at how ridiculously short it was. Like, seriously, this track takes like 20 seconds to finish a lap, which might not sound like much, but goddammit, if you're playing on this, you will understand. You're gonna go to Faraway Oasis, which, honestly, is actually fairly solid. I love, the zoo and stuff, so seeing the giraffe and elephant made me really excited, and to be fair, it actually is pretty good of a track. Then we get on to the second version of Crown City, which I'll admit is just okay. I prefer the Mushroom Cup variant more in my opinion. Then we get on to I was about to have some fun, and this track ruined it. Who thought a paperclip was good for the finale of a shell cup? And yes, I get it, it's the first cup in the game, but that doesn't really make a difference. That doesn't really deserve that, okay? So, we go from a very short circle to a decent safari trip to a inferior version of a variation of Crown City to a paperclip. I mean, the variety is nice, and I do love Faraway Oasis aesthetic. That's keeping M to the F tier, but going not to boot it up any higher. And that's not even talking about the one that's even better than that, which shocking enough is DS's one. Now, I think the reason it's higher is because I'm cutting out a lot more slack than I should be. Because it was the first retro cup in the entire series. So I think you could kind of excuse it a little bit, because Nintendo did not had to keep it really simple. But even still, a lot of these tracks were just remade. Mario Circuit 1, it's literally over in 1 minute. It's like, I'm not joking, it's actually over in 1 minute. Sometimes even less. Then we go into N64 Moo Farm, which is great, though the cows don't move, so... Then we go into GBA Peach Circuit, which I really admire the castle in the background, but the orange trees do not fit this at all. And finally, the GameCube Luigi Circuit has just been butchered. For some strange reason, I feel like this track is twice the size when it should be. So if you remove the one lane, it would be roughly the same size it was in Mario Kart Double Dash. And that's not to mention we're back to one person per car and one item. And there's no special items anymore. So same old, the house is boring, get me out of here. We already have 2 more E tiers though, so enter your predictions! Prediction time over. If you guessed the Mushroom Cup, well then congrats! You are good. And since we've already covered the G tier Mushroom Cup, let's talk about Mario Kart Super Circuit's other Mushroom Cup, which is its original, which is its own one actually. And we start off with Peach Circuit. Okay, it's a decent opener in my opinion, and we go to Shy Guy Beach, which is actually pretty cool. I love the art for it, since Yoshi and the dabbing crab. Riverside Park is a very good set to learn in, and a bit nice scale and difficulty, considering how there's a big jump like a screen if you're not careful. And after that we go to BC1, GBA BC1 BOG, which if you think about it, it's actually a solid ender to a cup, but if you think about it, it's not all that good in terms of when you're going up against all the other cups in the series. So I think you're gonna go over here. And the last entry in the E tier is actually another Mushroom Cup. Is none other than the other 2D game, Super Mario Kart Mushroom Cup. The first game in the series, obviously. It was gonna have some backlash, but hold up, I can explain. It's actually pretty decent if you think about it. We start off with Mario Circuit 1, which is pretty simple, but better than the DS version, which actually goes 5 laps in this one. So instead of lasting for 1 minute, it lasts for 1 minute and 40 seconds. Yeah, that was really fun. Then we go to Donut Place 1, which while difficult with its hairpin turns, gives you a lot of off-road to work. Though I really love this part near the end, like this part, because you're near the water, and since the water in this game instantly kills you, it offers a bit of challenge before you make the final turn, and I love that kind of risk in my track design. Then we go to Ghost Valley 1, which unlike Ghost Valley 2, is not bull-crunchingly hard. Well, they couldn't technically, it's the mushroom part after all, but even then, I just love this layout. For a Super Nintendo track, it's good with the hairpin turns, which allows you to bump into the wall without careening off the edge. Then we get onto its most well-known feature, the feather shortcut. Then we go on to SNES BC1, the opener for the Bowser Castles in the series, which has more hairpin tugs and these random edges sticking out. And it's not shown on this, but there are actually some thwomps. And something I love about this track is that there are some boost pads, which kind of gives you the opportunity to go, do you want to take this boost panel and risk getting crushed, but end up going faster, or do you play it slow and safe and just chill? I love that kind of design. I really said that with Ghost Valley 1, but then we go on to what's mostly referred to as the best track of the game, Mario Circuit 2. Which the reason for it is because of this big boost. Seriously, people seriously hate Super Mario Kart. I don't understand. It's like, this game is bad, don't get me wrong, but it's not horrible. It's like, I don't like it, but I don't hate it. It's an E-tier game, just like it's Mushroom Cup. So, I cannot believe it. We're already 13 cups down, and we started the bottom tier. This is gonna get crazy.
But then we get on to the D tier, or what I've labeled Rockabye Baby. You get the idea. These tracks just make me go. They can put me to sleep. What do you think is in my D tier first? Prediction time over. If you guessed the Leaf Cup from Mario Kart Wii, congrats, you've earned a gold medal. Now, if we look from here, DS Desert Hills, it's very disappointing as a choice from a game with one of the best sections of tracks in the entire series. Not sure to say look the chat. But it's better than the Mario Kart World version at least. Considering how tricks actually feel better here. Then we go on to GBA BC3, which I'll admit is actually fairly decent, but the blues feel more purplish, if you get what I mean. And the track is just flat, it's flatter than me, and it's just a bit too long. Then we get to N64 DK Jungle Parkway, which is just like, hey! Now this is a good remake, though I miss having actual control on the ramp. And the guys in the Kong family actually throwing coconuts at you. I thought that was pretty charming. Then we go on to GameCube Mario Circuit, which is it's a good track, don't get me wrong, but as a finale to the Leaf Cup, I don't know honestly, because all in all, a pretty disappointing ending, a mid-opener, a very long Bowser Castle, and a decent N64 track. So overall, and that was actually the first of 10 entries in the D tier. This is actually where it got pretty difficult to rank, so let's do predictions! Prediction time is closed. If you guessed the Banana Cup from Mario Kart Wii, you've earned a medal again! Now this cup is hated for a different reason. So we start off with N64 Sherbet Land, which as a track, it's okay. As a remake, hell no. There were way better options from N64 than this. Then get into GBA Shy Guy Beach, which just looks really ugly if I'm being honest. Then we get on to, hey, okay, now we're getting into some good stuff with Delfino Square and then Waluigi, hey! Not as good as Delfino, but hey, I'll take it. So overall, all in all, you get half mid, like, we go from, if we're putting this on a tier list, we go from D to D to S to A. And by the time we get to these two goodies, I'm already tired of these two tracks, considering how these are also very long too. So do I want to play through these? No, I do not. I apologize for my very lazy analysis, but there's like 89 tracks. Can I have some slack please? And I'm a kid. Anywho, what do you think is next? I'm going to go with the Shell Cup from Mario Kart Wii. 3 in a row! God, this is not a good tier for Wii. I promise though, a lot of Wii tracks are gonna be really high on the list. Don't worry for all you Wii stands, I'm part of you. Anywho, we start off with Peach Beach, which I'll admit the world version is like 100 times better, but this version is actually quite decent. I especially love the little turn at the end that gives you an extra item. Who would actually go there? Then we go to a chicken nugget, which I'm not gonna accept, considering how we had Luigi, like so the Shell Cup is the Mushroom Cup of the retro tracks, which is fine. If we were going to continue on the escalation, we could have had Cheep Beach. We could have had the Mario Circuit from that game, which sound really bad, but that Mario Circuit is actually pretty decent if you think about it. DK Pass, or like Warrior Stadium. And instead we got Yoshi Falls. This track is like a minute long. Anywho, then we go on to Ghost Valley 2, which is way better than its counterpart, because like how it's not bull crunchingly hard and it actually has an excuse considering how, and like the track is actually scaled up a lot more, but you can excuse it for that since Wii was the first game with 12 racers, so it will be way too chaotic. Then we end off with, what is it with the Wii Retro Cups flubbing the final track? I just need to know, what is it with that? What? Anywho, Mario Raceway is good as a track, don't get me wrong, but as a finale, it's better than Peach Stadium, but I didn't say much. Good god, it's not looking good for Wii right now. But now we actually have a dual cup entry. What do you think? Is it? The Leaf Cup. And you get 1 point if you first guessed the DS Cup. And you get another point if you guessed the 8 Cup. Let's first cover the DS Cup since it's technically the worst one. As we're used to by now, the DS would go from SNES track to N64 track to GBA track to GameCube track. And you know what, I'm fine with that. We start off with Koopa Beach 2, which is just your vanilla circle. Then we go to N64 Choco Man, which I'll admit is the definitive version of this track, solely because it takes the best attributes from N64 with the falling off the top edge and its overall better aesthetics, in my opinion at least. And the Mario Kart 8 version with its very smooth controls and the more overall bump physics. And top off the fact that I think this course looks better than both of them, if I'm being completely honest, and this is my favorite version of the course. Try harder, 8 fans. Well, I'm a part of the club too, but still. Then get on to GBA Luigi Circuit, which I think I'm the first person to point this out, but if you go into the, don't mind me, anywho. If we go off. Well, I think I'm the first person to point this out, but if we were to go in here, doesn't this mini-map look a bit like a person? If I'm resonating with you guys, does that make a bit of sense, or am I just overreacting a bit? Because it looks like a person playing football with the arm, the leg, and the second leg, and the head. Is that just me? Okay, I'll accept that and move on. Guess I'm the lone one. And then we end off with Mushroom Bridge, which might sound good, but they flubbed it again, like with Baby Park. Because for your information, they took off the bridge shortcuts, the ones on here, and most of the others in this game. Now, considering how in DS there's nothing really considered an ultra shortcut, the best is official shortcuts. Not even having one from another game is just very disappointing. And top off the fact that this is our first taste of retro tracks, and just get out of my face. Then we continue on to the next track in this section, which is which is MK8 Leaf Cup. We start off with DS Warrior Stadium, which the definitive version of this track, yes. Decent by normal standards, yes. Decent by 8 standards, no. This track is just puts me to sleep. And I'm now just realizing this, but there's literally one right turn at all, and it's this one over here. Everything else, you're just driving left, like a circle. Then we go into Sherbet Land, which, while being a really trash track on the Double Dash, is actually really good here. Because, first off, the music is absolutely fire. I don't think anyone else has pointed that out. The aesthetics look gorgeous, and I'd say the overall design just flows better with the new water segments, these little ice boys. Then we go into Music Part, which speaks for itself, it's fire. Then we go into a butchered version of Yoshi Valley. Now the point of Yoshi Valley was the fact that you could take multiple different paths. But this bridge over here is actually the very fastest one, and once you realize that, the entire track just becomes obsolete, if I'm being honest. So, you can go there, and you can go there. we're not getting bad from here, we're already getting bad from here, so worry about that. What do you think is next? And spoiler alert, these next two are the first ones from the Booster Burst Pass minus you. So, prediction time! The Acorn Cup. Oh, congrats! First off, Romavanti, a mid-city track. Then we get to DK Mountain, an okay version of the original. Daisy Circuit, an untouched version gameplay-wise, but a butchered track aesthetic-wise. Then we go to Piranha Plant Cove, which is one of the best tracks in the game aesthetic-wise, but like, I mean, it's okay, don't get me wrong, but I'm seeing more PD Piranha than Piranha Plant over here. I'm seeing more Unagis than anything. It's either Unagi Cove or PD Piranha Cove. It should be like that or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, continuing on to Romavanti, this track is just, for being the first impression of the final wave of the entirety of MK8DX, that's not very good. Considering how most of it is just looking so depressing. Well, not necessarily depressing, but how plain the layout is and how you just drive in straight lines. Don't remind me about the intermissions. Then we continue on to DK Mountain, which is very good, don't get me wrong, but I think the controls of Mario Kart 8 butchered this track quite a bit. Because, if you think about it, the main appeal in the original version and Wii was how bull-crunchingly hard it was to stay on because of how horrible the controls were. But I think in this game, the track is just not really that good anymore, because the controls are too good and it becomes really easy. You're able to trick off the mountain now, but the other part of the mountain, where there's like a lot more bumps, you can't trick off them. When in DK Summit, there are other hill bumps in the road, and you can trick off them. You literally have to trick off the ramps that are ingrained into the mountain. I can't help but thinking I'm the only one that thinks that's really uninspired. Am I? Then we go into Daisy's Circuit, which I'll fully admit, I loved the original way more. It's like tenfold better than this trash. Like, don't get me wrong, as a track, okay. But this is like the near climax to the cup. And I'm not taking a regular track circuit thing as my thing. You get what I mean? Then we go into Piranha Plant Cove, which I already talked about. So this cup is a bit tragic if you think about it, considering how much potential it had with its tracks. They could have made DK Mountain bull-crunchingly difficult. They could have picked Piranha Plant Pipeline to replace Roma Vanti. We did not need that. They could have picked a better circuit than Daisy Circuit, or maybe improved the aesthetic on that a bit more, and Piranha Plant Cove could have been way better with its layout. I think that was Tor's fault though. So I think you're gonna need to stay there, because I think with all the corrections I made, it had potential to make it at least like it had potential for A or B. Oh, he's talking about A tier. Anywho, continuing on, we have the Propeller Cup. Now, I think this suffers the same fate as the Acorn Cup, except I think its highs are a tad higher. We start off with City Sprint, which is, I'll fully admit, a decent layout of a track, considering how unlike a lot of other cities before Wave 4, in a pre-Wave 4 society, it actually incorporated incorporated elements from real life into the track design, like the Opera House. And I think it was done really well, in my opinion. Plus, while I'm not like the biggest fan of the music, I'll fully admit it's actually a pretty good track of a song. Then we go on to GBA Snowland, which is a way better remake of the original, because like how you're not shaking up and down like a car. Then we go to Mushroom Gorge, which is an insanely great track. And finally, we go on to Sky High. The worst part about this track is like, when I was younger in like my year 7s, I rated this in like near the top 10. And now I just think it's okay. Don't get me wrong, this track is way better in Mario Kart World, but here, you're not sliding over here. Get out of my room, okay? You're not making it onto the cart. So I think, despite having a very high, the Propeller Cup is just okay. It put me to sleep. So, I think Mushroom Gorge is the only thing saving it from being above Acorn Cup. Now keep in mind, even though we've gone through like almost a quarter of the cups, there's not even like, we're only like 3 meters apart. Like, I think that with the DS and Wii Shell Cup, there's not even like a millimeter between. It's like a micrometer. It's like there's not even, like I can swap it around and be perfectly fine with it. But it's like, from one end to the tier to another, there's a bit more of a gap, you know what I mean? Anywho, continue on with your favorite part of the video, prediction time. If you guessed the Shell Cup from Mario Kart 8, oh baby, you are right on the money. Let me just kill this guy. Thank you. You too. Oh, you gotta kill this thing. Continue on, we have Moo Moo Meadows, which this person has failed to show us the proper version of it, which is the cow. They have failed to show us this, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So we start off with hello. So we start off with hello, which is a pretty decent track. Actually, it's possibly my favorite opener of a Shell Cup in the entire series. Now, that's not saying much, it's not much competition. Then we go into GBA Mario Circuit, which I'll flame it is just not that good. I think I put this on my D tier, if I recall correctly, for my 96 track ranking. Well, okay. This track is just not that good in my opinion. Even though I do admire the new Super Mario Bros. All mushrooms in the background. In the late 2025 though, it's not that good. We're going to Cheap Cheap Beach, which, okay, I'll flame it, is one of the best tracks in the game aesthetically. I think this is like one of the few tracks in the game that is contention for like the top 10 greatest looking tracks in this game, if not the entire series. Just look at how gorgeous the war is. You don't just look at that and think, you're not considered a peak track aesthetic. And then we go to N64 Toads. I'll flame it, this version, better than the original because it's so bull-crunchingly hard. As a Flower Cup track, it had to stay within the confinements of the normal track, but at least it's better. At least it has an excuse, and I'm glad they used this track as the finale of the Shell Cup rather than the others, because I think that, like, on a more mechanical form, I think the escalation in this one from a chill circle to a bit more of a chunk of the Ultra Hand to more tighter turns to strap hazards in the traffic. I think it's a nice escalation in terms of difficulty. Is it gonna be enough to win me over? Not really. But you do undo all the other tracks. So take that with a grain of salt. What do you think is right after that? Prediction time mode. If you guess the turn up cup from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you are in fact right on the money. We're actually, this tier is beating up the booster course pass at the moment. We're already going through, we're not even halfway through, and there's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tracks left for that game. New York Minute. You can cut it a little bit of slack, I guess, considering how it was the very first track made for Mario Kart Tour, and I do appreciate the nod to Donkey Kong, even if I like the DJ music line more. But overall, this track is just okay in my opinion. Then we go on to Mario the last talked about, the bell. Then we go to hey, okay. Now Calamari is an okay rendition of the original, but I don't know if it's just me, but I don't find this version all that interesting. I'm sorry, but the train, in all my years of playing this game, never has this train actually been a hazard for me. Maybe it's just I'm good at this game, but I've never actually gotten hit by it. Even in the Wave 2 release when I played on the day it came out. Then we go to what? Oh, okay. This, another contender. I think this could be one of, if not the best looking track in the entire game. Well, barring Wii Rainbow Road, obviously. Because it just looks so utterly gorgeous. There's something about the silver textures in this track in particular that just makes me like admire it more. I don't know, it's just, it looks nicer when it's not bombarded with textures. Sometimes less is more, okay? But as a track, it's still great. It made my top 10, so I'm happy for that. Waluigi song is still getting love. So on our tier list, we go from D to F to B to S. So overall, a nice, so like, Mario Circuit 3 is the low point for sure, and Waluigi Pinball is the high point. And I think Waluigi Pinball serves best as the ending. I think the fact that the tour track has to start first really hurt this cup in particular, because Mario Circuit 3 could have worked very well as the start of the track, but Nintendo had no defense. So you're not bad per se, but you're not keeping me awake either. Anywho, continuing on, what is next? Let's continue on to the Star Cup from Super Mario Golf. Now, Koopa Beach 1 is actually pretty decent if you think about it. Sure, the water is a bit obnoxious, especially the dark part, which takes like 3 centuries to get off. But I think this is one of the tracks that benefits the most from the feather item, which, if you don't know, allows you to jump over a specific part of the track. Now, if you see this part, I'm pretty sure you can jump over it, because I've only played Super Mario Kart for like an hour, and this track part is fairly nice if I say so. And these green things are just kind of hilarious to me. Even though I have typophobia, I will always love this part, considering how it's just really funny for me. And something I love about the item boxes is that in this game, if you don't know, once you have collected an item box, it's out for the rest of the game. So you cannot drive through that item box and get another item. So if you want more than one item per lap, you have to go different ways, and so you can't just take the shortest path every time. And since the game is fairly difficult to control, if you do drift into this way, you have a chance of accidentally overshooting it, going into the water and drowning. And I love that kind of risk reward thing for an item. Or if you're feeling lucky, you can just shroom through here, but also contend with overshooting and going into the water. Everything is perfect about this section really, but the rest of it is just meh. Especially when you consider it's a circle. Then we go to Choco Island 2, which the DS version is worse, obviously, but the original is still I'm not excusing a lot, but I think it's just mid. One thing I do appreciate about it though is if you accidentally get a feather, and you can just drive in, go through this on this ramp, and just go back down. It's an intentional shortcut. I'm kind of happy with that. Then we go to Vanilla, the obvious low point of this cup. Now we go to Bowser Castle. Hey! Even the SMK haters have to admit, this is a very good track. Even by normal track standards, it's good. Because, like, I think the thing I said about the item distribution to the beach, it applies to this track tenfold. Because there's so many paths to take. There's a ton of narrow pathways, 90-degree turns to that mesh welded engine, a ton of speed boosts to keep you on your toes, and you can't see it, but it works. And there's also a ton of coins, so for your information, each track, these tracks, pathways, have their own advantage, and I really like that. So this pathway right here, I'm gonna color code them, so red, green, and blue. The red pathway is the closest one, except there's no item boxes, which means there's no advantages. Which means you're gonna have to come in with something on your own in order to actually make good use of it. The middle pathway offers a few coins to increase your speed, I think, and give you some items if you're good at it. The final pathway is the longest to get to, and yeah, it gives you some coins and a speed boost. So I think this part is just really well done, if I'm being honest. As not to mention the choose your own adventure path. I love it when tracks give you a choice on what you want to do in a game, and this track is the best that nails that concept best in my eyes. Only in this game though. Then we finally got to Mario Circuit 4, which I said back in Flower Cup, but like in this Flower Cup, falling off the track. But I said it back there, I think Mario Circuit 4 does the layout better than Mario Circuit 3. So I think nobody is gonna complain when Super Mario Kart Startup is wrecking a moment in the deep. Take that and live, Super Mario Kart, you've earned it. But then we get on to the final cup in this D tier. What do you think it is? Gamers, I cannot hold it on. Well, let's just count them out. 1, 2, 3, 8, 11, 16, 19, 24, 35 is long enough. Mushroom Cup from Mario Kart 7 is just horribly basic. We start off with Toad Circuit, which is a very good starter track in this game, at least. It's a very good track. Now, something I don't like about Mario Kart 7, in terms of its Mushroom Cup in particular, is that it's just more of an introductory cup than anything. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the games Mushroom Cup is an introductory track, but they always have like a bit of meat on the bones. Like Wii has Toad's Factory, DS has Luigi's Mansion, GameCube has Baby Park, 8 has Sweet Tree Canyon, World has DK Spaceport, etc. What does 7 have? None of that actually. Toad Circuit? Mid. Daisy Circuit? An Introduction to Glider? I mean, it's okay. It has a couple neat shortcuts like this one down here, but overall, I'm not waking up to play it here. This and Cheech Lagoon, a decent introduction of water, I guess, but nothing I'm ever going out of my way to race on. This track is just really made, if I'm being honest. Then we go into Shy Guy Bazaar, which is okay. I'll admit this is the high point of the cup. This is a very good cup to start. Yeah, this is a very good track to end for this cup in particular. But the first three were really mid. So it's like, I'm so sorry, Shy Guy Bazaar. So you're telling me that one of the most original tracks in the entire series is stuck between boring, and mid. So on a tier list, we go from C to D to A. Wholly mid, wholly consistent. So 7, you can rot in the heat here. Is that fair to say? So I want to keep in mind that the Rockabye Babies are not really that. I don't necessarily think they're bad cups per se, unlike E and F tracks. I sincerely apologize to these little ones. I'm really am sorry for these, but considering how they have really they're really inconsistent with, they have a few good tracks and a few bad ones. They haven't earned the higher end of the tier list, I would say. So you can stay in the T tier, what I would say. But then we go on to the D tier of Rockabye Baby, to the C tier of, well now, Nintendo. I don't know about you, but this is more like it, if you think about it. What do you think is the first what do you think is the first C tier in this tier list? If you guessed, I think this is gonna be the first controversial pick that's gonna make people go, what the hell? I'm gonna give it to DS Lightning Cup. It's kind of shocking how this is the final, if I recall correctly, this is the final DS Retro Cup, and it's in the first actually good tier. What a surprise! Let's start off with, so as we've come to learn by now, we go SNES, N64, GBA, and GCN. Let's start off with Chocolate Island 2, the worst retro cars in this game. Yay! Boring Baby Park, obviously, but still. Knowing that is N64 Banshee Boardwalk, which is just, it's better than the original, but it's not saying much. Mainly because you can see the water, the houses actually looks nicer, and overall it just controls better. It's more DS physics carrying it. Let me go. Hey, okay. This is the best version of Skyguard. If you're looking from a casual perspective, this is the best version of Skyguard in the entire series. There's no even denying it. I mean, it looks stunning. The trick potential is amazing. Sorry, the shortcut potential is amazing, and it actually sticks to its layout, unlike some games I know. But if you're looking at it from a more competitive perspective, GBA is the better way to go. Look at the shortcuts available on this beast. Is that fair to say? Then we continue on to Yoshi Circuito. First off, what is this? What is this? Pretty sure this area is white on the Yoshi thing. Then we go into the thing, the red shell. This track, it keeps the Yoshi layout, obviously, but in the overall, it just feels way more dead. It was actually really fun in Double Dash. It had the Yoshi Copter, a ton of fun shortcuts, and overall better atmosphere. The 8 version has a way better atmosphere in terms of aesthetics. And the Yoshi Copter, while being gone, is replaced by a normal helicopter, which has Yoshi decorations. The Yoshi Circuit on the DS, on the other hand, is just dead. So overall, I'd say Chocolate Island 2, the very low point of this game. Banshee Boardwalk it's okay. Skygarden is amazing for this game's standards, even then. And Yoshi Circuit is, on a tier list, we'd go from F to C to A to B, which is good for this game, and very good for this tier list in general. So if I can find it, oh, there you are. You can be the first C tier. Enjoy that, Mario Kart DS, that's all you're getting. What do you think is the second entry? For our second entry in the C tier, I'm gonna go for the Flower Cup, and if you guessed it right, the second entry is the Mario Kart World version. Now don't get me wrong, it's good, but Desert Hills, I don't like what you done to the place, Nintendo. Desert Hills is just holy mid. And I love Super Mario Bros. 3, don't get me wrong, but this track does not do it justice in the slightest at all. Now we go to Shy Guy Bazaar, which while being one of the highlights of Mario Kart 7, is not really that, it doesn't stick out all that much in World, considering how the bar is way higher than 7's, obviously. Then we go to Warrior Stadium, which the final track in N60 from Mario Kart 64 that had to be remade, making this Mario Kart 64 the official first game in the entire series to have all of its tracks remade. Unbelievable, guys. And for being the longest overdue track, it's actually done very well, if I say so myself. There's a lot of trick potential, which is the whole point of a stadium. And the daytime or nighttime aesthetic is very nice, and not to mention it being one of the funnest areas to explore in free roam, if I'm being completely honest. They go to Airship Fortress, which is just the same. Honestly, I go to say I prefer the MKDS version of it way more, considering the aesthetic is better on that version, if I'd say so. Because I feel like the more daytime version, the daytime aesthetic, kind of hurts this track a bit more. I think this track is better at nighttime aesthetic, or like evening. This track would be a really good Bowser Castle or lead up, but it's in the Flower Cup, for God's sake. Why can't, like, something I will give it props for is the rail shortcut. Well, not necessarily a shortcut, more of a long cut. You don't have to do anything, but it's just gonna take slower time, whereas you have to contend with the side bills, despite being way too easy, and just stay on the normal path. I like that sort of design, but not enough to bump it up to an S tier in my eyes. So we go from D to to B to A to A. This cup is decent, I'd say, but not enough to warrant the Irish Watch. Especially Desert Hills single-handedly takes it from B to C, but overall, I'd say you've done a pretty good job, if I'd say so. Congrats, but you're not getting higher. Anywho, what do you think is next? Prediction time over. If you guessed the Mushroom Cup of Mario Kart 64, congrats. This cup, I'd say, is definitely the most Mushroom Cup track of them all. Well, in terms of the criteria for it, Luigi Raceway, a very good starter track. Like, as far as starter tracks go, it's one of the better ones. And then we get to Moo Moo Farm, which is a very good Moo Moo track, even though Meadows is better plus L plus ratio. Then we get to Koopa Troopa Beach, which is great, considering if you don't know, the rocks actually make a Koopa Troopa, and the layout itself is fun with that cute Mushroom Cup cave shortcut. Then we get to Calamari Desert, the definitive version for use N64 Andes, with the train. Now, considering how this game's item manipulation works, I just love how you have to wait for the train. I find that so charming for some reason. It's better than the MK8 version in my eyes, though that's not a compliment. So overall, a very good lineup of tracks in terms of consistency. If this was a consistency tier list, this would undoubtedly be in like S tier or even W tier. But in terms of racetrack wise, it's just gonna be in C. What do you think is next? Prediction time is now closed. If you guessed the Star Cup, I think this is where we get our first diabolical take. I'm going to give it to World's Star Cup. DK Pass. It's okay. It's like it's not a bad track, but I'm not waking up for it. Then we get to Starview Peak, which is, in my opinion, one of the worst tracks in the game. It's like, hold on, wait, Starview Peak. I think I should change the name a bit. There we go. Then we go to Sky High Sunday, which is the definitive version of Sky High Sunday. Its greatness is amped up to 11 in this game. Then we go to Warriors Galleon. Warriors Galleon, considering how I am British, this is a good track, don't get me wrong, a faithful recreation to the MK7 version. So overall, Starview is the low point of this cup. I say Sky and Wario are definitely the ones you'd want to end on most. But I would say, I'd probably do it by Sky High, DK, Starview, then Wario, in terms of difficulty. But not really anything beyond that, if I'm being honest with you guys. So, you can sit over here. It's time for our first Double Dash Cup of the bunch. GCN Mushroom Cup. Oh boy. Not the best Mushroom Cup in the series, but it is the worst cup of the bunch. Not sure I should have worded that, but anyway. Luigi Circuit is, in my opinion, the greatest starter track in history because unlike the DS version, the pathway is a lot smaller, so you're going to be getting pummeled by items a lot. And for your information, some of the items are lethal. Then we go to Peach Beach, which is a bit of a detour off the beaten path in terms of quality, but still nice nonetheless. The Cat Quacks, rest in peace, my buddies. Then we go to Baby Park, which is in my opinion, not the definitive version, the 8 Deluxe version beats this out by a long shot, but better than its younger brother, I guess. Younger or older, depends on how you look at it. Then we get to just when things were getting good, they just had to ruin it, didn't they? I'll flame it. Dry has some good qualities, like how the tornado is still there, the hills at the end are quite difficult. It's the finale of this Mushroom Cup, so it's gonna be quite difficult, even though in my opinion Baby Park was way harder. And Peach Beach is a little bit more relaxed. So overall, a bit more lopsided than I like, but the quality is there. Peach and Dry are like Peach is okay, Dry is mid, Baby and Luigi are really carrying it a lot. So I think you can sit over here. What do you think is next? Yeah, we're going at a really fast pace, but we have almost 90 cups to go through. So of course it's gonna be fast paced, dingbat. Anywho, let's continue on. Prediction time! Voting is now closed. If you guessed the Lightning Cup from Mario Kart, 7. You are in fact just kidding. It's Wii. Wait, or is it? No, I think it's no. It's wait. Wait, I don't know what it's. I think it's no. It's. I need to. It's either 7 or Wii. It's 7, I think. No, wait, I just remembered, it's Wii. We continue on. So, now that we've decided it's Wii, how about we continue on to the analysis part. So, we start off with Mario Circuit 3, which is just... I don't need to talk about this track anymore, do I? There we go to DS Peach Gardens. We love Peach Gardens. Otherwise, I'm gonna shoot you to death. We go to DK Mountain, the best retro track in this game. by quite a bit. It actually, though it's not saying much, but it's not as bad as the 8 version. Now we get to answer. Hey, okay. Now this is what I came for. So DK and Bowser are really carrying it. I think Mario Circuit is the low point of this cup, definitely. But I think DS, GameCube, and N64, like Gordon's Mountain and Castle are definitely carrying it a long way. Had it just been Mario Circuit Vanilla, it would have been in like E or F, but none of that. Those 3 are carrying. You're up here. If it weren't for Mario Circuit, I could have gone into like A or B, but oh well, the show must go on. What do you think is next? Prediction time off for now. If you guess the Mario Kart 7 version of, if I can find it, ah, here we are. If you guessed the Shell Cup in Mario Kart 7, this cup is actually the best Shell Cup in the series, if I think, pretty sure, because I think we've already covered all of them. Yeah, we have actually. So congrats, you're the best Shell Cup in the entire series, Mario Kart 7. We start off with N64 Luigi Raceway, a good opener for actually, even though it's the worst in the game. I guess I'm fine with that, because it eases people into the game. Then we get to GBA BC1, hashtag justice for MK7 GBA tracks. It's a good remake, don't get me wrong, but as a racetrack, not really. Now we get to Mushroom. Okay, now we're getting some dessert. Alright, say more. Who ordered the ice cream? This track is very good, even though the mushroom fizz is a bit weirder. And I kinda missed the challenge in the Wii version, which you have to bounce your way no matter what. And because now you can just cheese it with the glider, it takes away a bit of the challenge, but I think that makes sense. It's like the penultimate track in the Shell Cup, which is the Mushroom Cup of the retro tracks. I guess that makes sense for a bit. Then we get to DS Luigi. Say more. Who ordered the waffles with the ice cream? This is amazing. Not necessarily a top 5 track, but very good nonetheless. I think something that still pisses me off is the fact that you only spend like 20% in the mansion. But I love the nod to GameCube Luigi's Mansion, the game as a whole. It kinda sucks that this track wasn't made in Double Dash. Could have worked very well in it. You consider how Luigi's Mansion came out before Double Dash, 2 years later in fact. So, I think because of that, well not because of that, I'm not that petty. Shell Cup can sit over here. And fun fact, this is the first cup archetype to be completely used up. We're not counting the BCP tracks because that's just too unfair, honestly. Continuing on, what do you think is next in my collection of cups? Prediction time off. If you guessed the Golden Dash Cup from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, congratulations! You've earned a gold medal. We're actually getting a lot today. Good god. Now, I think you can cut this one quite a bit of slack. It was the first one of the entire BCP, so it was kind of like the first impression. Now, whenever you do something, the first thing is often has an advantage and a disadvantage. The disadvantage is that it has to be very good because it's a first impression, but it has an advantage because you can cut some slack. So it's like a middle ground in between them. You have to hit just right. And I think this cup, for some in particular, hit it just right. Paris Promenade, it's a good track. It's decent, not enough to get into the higher positions. Wait, what the? Oh, I hit the left button. Toad Circuit, horrible, just horrible as it is. Not even the new Super Mario Bros. Mushrooms can save it. The Chocolate Mountain remake, I explained on the DS. That was my definitive version because I think this one looks a bit too non-chocolatey, if that makes sense. Because this feels like more muddy than anything, because though I will admit the cave section looks gorgeous with the crystals and stuff, then a butchered version of Coconut Mall, the cars, the aesthetic, The music, the coconut mall sphere. If I keep talking, I'm gonna have a crash out, so let me just reorganize this thing, because I'm actually having a hard time trying to find everything. So let me just reshuffle it real quick.
A few moments later.
Done! Now, these are put in chronological order, which is nice to see every now and again. And surprisingly enough, we're still in the seats here, and all 9 games are still in play. Good god, I need to get off with the time. What do you think is next in... Wait, what do you think is next? Prediction time off. Let's see what it was. Flower Cup from Mario Kart 64. Now, this Flower Cup is, in my opinion, the most balanced of the bunch. Well, minus you, of course. Toad's Turnpike is pretty difficult, if I'm being honest. Like, pretty, if I'd say so. Probably would have worked best in the Star Cup or something like that, but I think it's pretty appropriate here, I guess. Frappe Snowland is bone-crunchingly hard with all those snowmen, and I love it for that. Chocolate Mountain is, it's better than the 8 version for sure, because it's more chaotic. And then Warrior Raceway is the simplest, but sometimes less is more. So we go from a decent highway track to a bull-crunching snow track to a mid-choco track to a decent circuit track. Now, maybe a good chocolate track, if I'm being honest. So Mario Kart 64, you are there. And now we've officially covered over half of the cups on this list. This is already the longest video I've made. Anywho, continuing on, what do you think is in after the N64 Flower Cup and bursting onto the top half of the list? Prediction time over. If you guessed the Rock Cup, you are in fact right. Thanks for trolling me, Wiki. Oh, okay. So we start with London Loop, an okay London track. I think a London Loop is one of the few city FTs because I find it really offensive, considering how let's go into a bit more analytical side for this track in particular. Most of the thing is just roads, which granted, London is mainly roads, but if you look into the background, you'll see many good attractions like the Big Ben and the London Eye and the Westminster. You could have implemented Buckingham Palace or anything like that. And given that close proximity in the background, it feels like they were just cramming them in together and just going like, tick it off the checklist, tick it off the checklist, stable, where'd you keep the checklist? Which gives it a lot of wasted potential. Blue Lake, on the other hand, is decent. It's a good remake over the original because they remember the lake. The fatal mistake from last time. Rock Mountain, on the other hand, is genuinely pretty underrated. It's definitely worse than the original, but I feel like because of its worse aesthetics, people just smash this track out of its life. And I think that's a bit harsh. I can still have a lot of fun on here, especially with just jumping off the pipes. And I still get a lot of adrenaline jumping off the glider and just smacking someone in mid-air and watching them fall to their death. That's just really charming for me. Then we get to Maple Tree Way, which is speaks for itself. It's a very good track quality. Let me just kill these ads off. Maple Tree Way is very good. London Loop and Rock Mountain are definitely the low points here, but Bootleg and Maple Tree Way definitely carrying a long way. Don't you dare think they aren't. What do you think is right after it? God damn it, how fast paced is this? Prediction time is closed again. If you guessed the Mushroom Cup from MK8 DX, you are in fact correct. Let me find you and put you up there. Oh my, we have our first double tier. They need to reword that. wait, let's go into deep analysis for this one too. Mario Kart Stadium is one of the better tracks in this game. Well, in terms of circuit track wise, this is in contention for one of, if not the best starter track in the entire series. I think Luigi's Circuit has it beat, but it's definitely not far behind it by a lot. Water Park is a bit disappointing, but not anything that puts me to sleep. It's just, you can cut it a bit of slack, but I can't help but think I'm the only one who thinks this had a lot of waste potential. Sweet Sweet Canyon is, in my opinion, the best track in the comp. It's just so good. This track is another contender for the top 10 best looking tracks in the series, and Swamp Ruins is a little bit overrated in my eyes. Sure, it's good, but it's not, like, many people think it's the best track in this comp. It's definitely the hardest, but it's just C tier for me. If I'm being completely real, it's Sweet Sweet Canyon that's carrying the whole thing, if I'm being honest with you. Well, not necessarily carrying. All the others are good in their own right. Mario Kart Stadium, a good starter track. Water Park, a good spike in difficulty. Sweet Sweet Canyon, a fun aesthetic. And Swamp Ruins, it functions well as the final track in the comp, as it's definitely the hardest of the bunch. So I think that's all I have to say about you, Mushroom Car. And I think that's the last mushroom. What do you think is next? And to your predictions, because we have close prediction time again. The correct answer was, scrolling up to the wiki, Flower Cup, the Super Circuit version. I'm not gonna blame you at all if you entirely forgot that Mario Kart Super Circuit as a whole existed. It's been like well over, It's been well over like 15 entries since we've last seen it. We haven't seen this track in this game in over like half an hour. So welcome back, I guess. Now we start off with Mario Circuit, which is pretty mid, honestly. It's not the best starter track in the game. It's not the best Mario Circuit. Go to shame, Mario Circuit. Then get to Boo Lake, which is decent, but I like the Mario Kart 8 version way more. Then we get to Cheese. Hey, okay, Cheese Land is a good remake. Sorry, Cheese Land is a good track, if I say so. And I'm on team the cheese is real, the track is not in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Then we go to Bowser Castle 2, which I think I explained on the DS. I think I explained it in, what was it again? Was it in Banana Cup, I think? I don't know, but whatever cup it was in, it was really boring, and it failed to ease us into the difficulty curve. You're not as bad as your extra cup variants, but you're not as good as the other 3 cups in this game. Sorry, Super Circuit, cry. What do you think is next? Prediction time gone. If you guessed the lucky Cat Cup, ooh boy, you are in fact correct. It's a godsend that the search bar exists, else we'd be on like what? We wouldn't even be by the D tier. Anywho, we start with Tokyo Blower, the worst and most boring city track in the entire game. Then we go to Shroom Ridge, which is actually amazing. Now this track was very underrated on Mario Kart DS, but I just love it here, especially the music. Say more, what? Wait, let me just go on to the DS Shroom Ridge. Say more, what is that melody? Say more, turn up the volume. You can hear the bass if you speak closely. Yeah, like you can hear it, like you can't, like, because, and then you hear the wooden instruments too. It's such a beautiful combination. It just works really well with the music. And then Sky Garden, which I think has an even better music, but I'm not gonna go onto it right now. The Ninja Hideaway. This track is very good in my opinion. Like, I'm probably the only one who has this mindset, but this track reminds me of Spirited Away, like the Studio Ghibli film. It's known for being the best Ghibli film, and while I think it is, it's not necessarily my favorite. That would go to Whisper of the Heart. But overall, it's a good ending for this cup. So Sky Garden is definitely Tokyo and Sky Garden are definitely the low points racetrack wise. Sky Garden, I will give you points for your music, but Shroom and Ninja are definitely carrying it high on here. Go high, go there. Shroom Rich and Lucky. Let's continue for our final C tier of the day. What do you think is in this cup? Tier list. Prediction time gone. If you guessed the Star Cup from Mario Kart Super Circuit, you are correct. From here on out, expect to see Super Circuit a lot more often. You had a nice break. You have to come back into class, okay? We're gonna be picking you a lot. Yeah, I know, guys. I've really brought my A game today. What? We start off with Snowland, which is... Can we just go on to... Wait. Snowland GBA. So for your information, there's like these little ledges. And in this game, if you go on one of these ledges, the screen shakes. And this track, unfortunately, is which really drives the track down. It had potential for being a really good track, but they just flubbed it. Then we get to Ribbon. Okay, Ribbon Road. You're good. You're a good track. I will not lie. But Yoshi Desert. Ooh, say more. Where are my tomatoes? Then we go to BC3 GBA So we go to GBA Star Cup BC3 the OG. Good god, these acronyms rhyme. They're definitely better than the SNES version. I think this might be my favorite 2D Bowser Castle, mainly because of the blue theme. But I think most of the cups in the seats here have two really good tracks, then two mid ones. Snowland and Yoshi Desert are mid, and Ribbon and BC3 are really carrying it. So overall, I'd say a fairly decent tier, but now that we're out of this tier, it's gonna be really smooth sailing from here on out. Gamers, now we go from the C tier to, well now, to the B tier to put a smile on me. Now we're getting into the good stuff. Now the C tier had some good quality to an extent, but the B tier is when we really get the waffles. What do you think is my first B tier entry? Prediction time is now over. And now this entry is gonna make people go like, what the hell? But I'm gonna give it to SNES Special Cup. I know who is this guy. This is his favorite game. I apologize to you. It's not quite gonna hold out to S tier, but it does in fact make my B tier, and you should be happy about that. Why I put this really high, we'll have to take a look at it in general. We start off with Donut Plain Story, which gives you some of that difficulty. It's a really good example of it's pretty difficult in some areas, but for being a starter track, it's good. But due to it being an archetype of the hardest cup in the game, it's still going to give you some of that bull crunching nonsense, and I love that. It's a perfect blend in that. We start off with some hairpin turns, which don't mesh well with this engine, so it's already pretty difficult. Then we go into the bridge, which, for your information, does not have any guardrails, so you can very easily just fall off to your death. And the water in this game, as a reminder, instantly kills you. Then we do another hairpin turn to this bridge, which you're actually required to hop over it. And then on more hairpin turns, and then we get to the moles. I think we already explained this with the SNES, what was it, the Star Cup or Special Cup? I don't remember. The GBA ones of theirs. But they removed the obstacles in this, which were pretty sad honestly, which is why I put them in the sad tier. But for your info, these moles will pop up every now and again and screw up your gameplay if you're not careful. Then we do a few more hairpin turns, and there's quite a bit of off-road to work with. Even though the water instantly kills you, the grass doesn't. So it's a nice little ease in difficulty. And not to mention multi-pole, multicolored blocks too, that mostly bore off this water right here, which is nice considering how this is one of the hardest turns to make. It's a bit like Mario Circuit 3's midway turn. Then we get to Puma Beach 2, which is a bit easier than I would like, but more my typophobia is not helping at all, but not enough to make me uncomfortable. This track is actually quite simple if you think about it. It's pretty difficult nonetheless, even though. And what I can recall, just like in, what was it, Chocolate Island 2 I think? If you get a feather and then just keep on going mushrooming, I think you need mushrooms to even get through this unscathed. Then you can go on this ramp and back onto the course. It's a bit like a shortcut. I find that really charming. Then we get into the deep water part. This is basically just everything that Koopa Beach 1 does, but a little bit better. And then we get to Ghost Valley 3, which is the best Ghost Valley in my opinion. Shifrilus, stop the cap. This track actually does have a feather shortcut. Stop capping, okay? And I think, unlike Ghost Valley 2 and in the Flower Cup, I think it was, this has an excuse to be bull-crunchingly difficult. It's a special cup for God's sake. And this is when the babies have gone to sleep. This track is fairly difficult at times, actually, due to its hairpin turns and lack of guardrails anywhere. And something you should know about these blocks is that they don't function like normal blocks do. If you hit them, they disappear, like they just fall. Now, that area is vulnerable to you falling off the track. Not to mention those being multiple holes in the planks. I don't know why. In the speed panel, that kind of tempts you to take it for a noticeable lead in the game, or playing it safe because this track's so bull-crunchingly difficult. Then we get to Vanilla Lake 2, probably the low point of this cup, but as difficulty scales, it works perfectly well for me. Definitely better than the Vanilla Lake 1, because something about that you might not know is that these ice blocks function like normal obstacles, which is, to be said, known. And you can actually cut half the track. Like, these are intended shortcuts if you think about it. And you can feather this part, and just, it makes you feel like a pro, honestly. I think this could be considered like the low point of the cup, but it works really well in the difficulty scale wise. Then we get to the iconic Rainbow Road. And this track needs basically no introduction, honestly. It's absolutely the hardest in the game, 0 guardrails. Photo doesn't show, but the thwomps in this game, this track in particular, is the best in the entire series, honestly. Because here, there are 2 sets of thwomps, and one will go down at a time, which will force you to maneuver your way out of it. And then we get into the one lone thwomp, which will force you to go to the either far left or the far right. Then we get to the split path, which has one thwomp on either side, which kind of tempts you to take in the other path. Or if you have a mushroom and you're feeling brave, unlike me, you could take this band thing and ramp thing and then go over this gap, skipping the thwomps either way. But you're not done with them yet, because then this final turn here will force you to either go to the extreme left or extreme right. And I think risk, reward, beautiful, because they go down at the same time. So I think it's actually pretty fun overall, even though some do plagiarize their layouts. But overall, I think that no one's gonna complain. Well, a lot of people are gonna complain when I put this up in the B tier. I just stood up for Super's special cup when no one else would, because you're all babies. I'm an adult. What do you think is gonna be slightly above that? I'm pretty sure by now we've reached the top 40. I cannot believe we've made it this far. Let's continue on now. For our next B tier entry, I'm going to give it to the Flower Cup in Mario Kart 7, baby. And this is the point where the cups actually started to get pretty difficult to rank, honestly. I think the D and G tiers were fairly simple to rank for me. The C tier provided the difficulty. I think this is the point where the difference between all these are microscopic. Continuing on, we can go to Woohoo Loop, which is a very nice callback to Wii Sports Resort if you think about it. I absolutely love tracks that cross over other Nintendo games, and this is, in my opinion, the best version of that. Well, not best, Mako was rules right there. Then we get to Mario Circuit, which is just I think many people just glaze over the fact that you can go in the castle. Don't get me wrong, the castle looks good, but not necessarily enough that makes me warrant this of like double as triple as. I'll tell you what is worthy of that title though, Music Park. I think we already explained this in Mario Kart 8's Leaf Cup. I don't think I elaborated on it though, and I'm still not gonna. And then we go to Rock, okay, the definitive version of Rock Mountain. Can we go to the music for this one again, Rock? Good God, I need to work on my spelling. Now, this part right here really sells on the fact that 7 is way better. Can we just fire this, listen? Pathetic. Let's continue on to the 7 version. I don't know, but that just scratches my brain so well, and I just love it for that. But the racetrack as a whole, it's a better tutorial than Daisy Hills, that's for sure, in terms of gliding. But I think there's another track that shows you that off way better. So overall, we have an excellent crossover, an okay circuit, Music Park, and a good gliding tutorial. And I think in this case, that would give you the B tier, B for flowers. Okay, I need to get all my jokes better. What do you think is after 7's Flower Cup? Predictions over. If you guessed the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Wave 3 Moon Cup, you are right on the money yet again. Good God, how many cups do we have left? I'm tired. I want to go home. Anywho, continuing on, we have Berlin Byways, which is it's better than Tokyo and London, to be fair, but nothing that warrants me wanting a race on it. Peach Gardens speaks for itself. Merry Mountain is by when I'm recording this specific part, I'm recording it on 11:24 AM and 29th of October 2025. So this track offers a bit of hype. Now, I genuinely think that this section right here has one of the best aesthetics I've seen in the entire game. This road is on par with the base game, because, good God, the red, green, and blue just mesh so well. And then 3DS Rainbow Road speaks for itself. So we go from a mid-tour city track to an amazing remake of Peach Gardens. I don't think I mentioned this on Peach Gardens, but on the third lap you can go backwards to High Five Luigi. It's crazy how the developers are such Luigi fans that they allow you to do that. Guess they learned from the year of Luigi, don't go too deep into the branding. Then we go to an okay, I guess, Christmas track, and then 3DS Rainbow Road, which speaks for itself. So you can go over, if I can find you, there. What do you think is after that? And I was about to say that this was the best Mushroom Cup. We have 2 more left. I don't think we've seen a DS or like, we haven't seen like a DS or Wii Nitro Cup yet, just to clarify. So what do you think is after Moon Cup? Prediction time over. If you guessed the Mushroom Cup from Mario Kart World, congratulations! How long has it been since we've seen a Mario Kart World Cup? It's been like what? We still have 5 cups left in this game, which is kind of wild if you think about it. I cannot believe it. We've made it this far. I never believed it. Normally when I'm making a project like this, I normally just stop halfway through. But this time, we've made it quite the distance, if you think about it. We start with Mario Bros. Circuit, which is one of the best tracks in the game. Well, not the best track in the game. Well, one of the best starter tracks in the entire series, if I must reiterate. It's a good track, honestly. Then we go to Crown City, which I like this variant more than the other variant in the Shell Cup. I think they're the same, but whatever, screw it. Then we go to Whistle Stop Summit, Whistle Stop, which is okay, I guess. It's a good trainer track. Then we get to DK Spaceport. Very, very, very good track. I think I'll reiterate on this track in particular when I do my Mario Kart World course ranking, but I just love how charming it is. It's one of the most charming tracks in the entire series, honestly, if I'd say so. Definitely one of my top 30 overall. So overall, World Mushroom Cup, you live rent-free with the mushrooms. What do you think is after that, I guess, little gamers? I think you guys might have forgotten about Double Dash, because we are returning to it for the second time for the Flower Cup. Holy moly! Mario Kart Double Dash's Mushroom Cup is the holy definition of just very good, in my opinion. Continuing on, we will proceed to have Mushroom Bridge, which is very good considering how they actually kept the shortcut in here. DS. Then we go to some Warrior Circuit, which the Wii version is definitely much better, mainly because the Trick System didn't exist here yet, and so it mainly flubbed it a bit more. It hurt this version a bit more. But I will admit the aesthetics a bit better. Then we get to Daisy Cruiser, which is with a very good wacky odd track. Then we get to Waluigi Stadium, which works better with the Mario Kart Wii version, but it's still good in this game. So Mushroom Bridge, decent. Mario Circuit, mid. GameCube Daisy Cruiser, great. Waluigi Stadium, great. So overall, pretty consistent throughout. So you can go over here. What's next? Gamers. How long has it been since we... Oh my god, it's been an entire tier. So, gamers, if you guessed the Mushroom Cup from Mario Kart... Wait. Oh! Wrong wiki. My bad, guys. If you guessed the Mushroom Cup from Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart DS, you are absolutely on the money. So let's start off with Figure 8 Circuit, which is the worst starter track in the entire series. I mean, that's not a compliment. It's like, it's actually really bad. Then we go to Yoshi Falls, the definitive version of it. I think the tricks actually hurt this one a little bit in Mario Kart Wii, if I'm being completely honest. And it's a bit common here. Then we go to Cheap Cheap Beach. Going back to this after playing this in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe feels so weird, let me tell you. Then we go to, hey, okay. This is good. Luigi's Mansion? Great. This should have been done in Double Dash though. Although, if I reiterate, wasn't the battle map of Luigi's Mansion done in Double Dash? Yeah, I think I better shot. So overall, Luigi's Mansion is definitely carrying it hard, but Yoshi Falls is okay. Figure 8 is mid. Cheap Cheap is good, like, don't get me wrong, but there's just something about it that just scratches my brain right. I don't think I'm able to point out what is that, but I don't think I'm gonna. What do you think is after that though? Gamers, predictions. The older games are definitely taking a beat in this tier. If you guessed the Star Cup 4, guess which game it is? Mario Kart 64. You are indeed correct, gamers. So we start off with Wario Stadium, which is an okay track if you think about it. Which, like, don't get me wrong, it's what? I just don't like it that much. It's one of the worst tracks in the entire series. Then Sherbet Land is definitely better than that. I think I actually like this track a lot, if I'm being really honest. I'm a sucker for like the ice tracks in the game. It just makes me really fascinated about them. I think I have a bias for them, which is why I like this one a lot. Then we go to Royal Raceway, which is the best track in the entire game, honestly. Then we go to the second best track in the game, Bowser Castle. Bowser's Castle, which is very good of a track. First off, it's just so haunting. I think the best part of each track is that Warrior Stadium, Infinity Warriors, Sherbet Land, my bias for the ice tracks, Royal Raceway, Royal Raceway, the fact the Easter egg that you can go to Peach's Castle, and Bowser's Castle, the overall atmosphere. So I think that Wario and Sherbet are kind of like the low/mid points, but I think Bowser's Castle and Bowser's Castle and Royal Raceway are really carrying this one quite far. So you know what? Stay up there. Oh, god damn it, Tier Maker is so wacky. Continuing on though, what do we have next? Prediction time over. We are having 3 special cups in a row. Good god, what is this? So let's start off this trilogy with DS is Special Cup. We start off with Warrior Stadium, which is, I'll fully admit, the original was way worse, honestly. It has the flan aesthetic, absolutely. And the nighttime is great, I'll fully admit, but it just feels way blander in terms of the layout wise. And I don't think the difficulty is good enough for the Special Cup, considering how Airship Fortress is literally right there. Then we go to Peach Gardens, which speaks for itself. I think it's worse than the 8 version because minus the 3rd lap, but either way it's still Peach Gardens. You better like Peach Gardens. Then we go to Bowser's Castle, which I'll fully admit, the Spinamajig, I love a lot. Everything else, I don't. Then we go to, okay. This is a good Rainbow Road. You gotta admit, this is a very good Rainbow Road. By normal Rainbow Road standards? No. By normal track standards? Yes. The loop-de-loop is very unique by DS standards. And the spiral, despite being borrowed from Double Dash, I think is used pretty well here. As a little difficulty curve, even though it's not very difficult. But I think one of the main problems with this track is that it's fairly short. I'm pretty sure 150cc takes about a minute to complete, which is pretty sad, honestly. But overall, I think this selection is pretty decent if you think about it. I love it either way. And just like Mushroom Cup, there's just something about it that scratches my brain just right. For the other 2 in this selection of 3, we're going with Super Circuit. This selection consists of Lakeside, Broken PL, BC4, and Rainbow Road. Lakeside is one of the hardest tracks in the game, but it makes sense because it's a Special Cup track. And I like how one of the most charming parts is that little bumper thing that if you're not good at this game, it punishes you for that. Then we go to Broken Pier, which is admittedly the low point of the car, honestly. I think it's quite disappointing. Then BC4 is definitely the hardest of this cup, and honestly I love it for that. It's so bull-crunchingly difficult. It takes like all the hardest aspects of Super Circuit, then combines it into one, as well as the background. It just goes like it's a nuclear bomb. Then we go to Rainbow Road. Good god, I love this one. I absolutely love this track. Because I think one of the things about this Rainbow Road is it's actually quite unique in one factor. There are like the entire track is lined with these yellow. If you look at this GIF, there's like a ton of bumpy roads. There's like a lot of yellow bar things, and if you time it right, you can make a ton of insane moves, and I love that kind of thing. So you know what? You're gonna pass after that. Then the final one is N64. And now I know what you're gonna say. In this game in particular, I don't agree. DK Jungle Parkway, for this game in particular, it's very good. I love this track in this game, for some bizarre reason. I think the controls of 64 allowed this track to be carried very far, if I'm being completely honest. Then we go to Yoshi Valley, which, oh boy, is the actually good version of it. I think pretty sure the main problem with it in the Leaf Cup was that the bridge path was too easy, but now since the bridge path is bull-crunchingly difficult, it kind of gives you the opportunity to kind of branch out and explore the other paths as well, even though most of them are pretty bad. I also love the ambitious part, because of how your placements are hidden, so that's pretty charming if I'd say so. And Banshee Boardwalk, a very nice scale and difficulty, if I'd say so. Definitely the hardest track in this game. Definitely the hardest. Oh, yeah, definitely. Then we go to Rainbow Road. Oh my god. Now, half the fan base hates this track, and half the fan base loves it. I know, the love side. I just find just going on a 6-minute walk fairly hilarious. And it's not free either. You have to be on your toes constantly. And the fact that people hate on the intermissions makes no sense in Mario Kart World. The fact that people like those intermissions when they hate this track makes no sense, because there are 100 intermissions is, in my opinion, are actively worse, because you're just driving in straight lines. With Rainbow Road actually has stuff, the chain chomps and the music. Do I have to explain the music? I think I'm gonna cry if I listen to it again. But you got the idea, it's very good. So, you go there, DS, and then, where are you? I can't find you anywhere. Oh yeah, you go here, and you go here. Oh, no, not there. Tearmaker, you're so wacky. And for our final entry in the B tier, what do you think is in here? For our final entries in the B tier, we're gonna go to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Can we find them, please? Yes. Both of these are in the base game, and one is the Triforce Cup. Firstly, if you're in this far, I would love to hear your opinions on these. I hope they're different from mine. We start off with Warriors Go Mine, which is a very good track, in my opinion. One of the greatest tracks in the Wii in general, and not the best track in this cup, but still very good. And then SNES Rainbow Road is the definitive version. Needs no introduction. They already yapped about this in Super Mario Kart. It's special cup, so this is basically the same as that, except it looks a lot better, and you can see new Super Mario Bros. Mushrooms in it. Then you go to Ice to Ice Outpost. Firstly, I love how the yellow and blue, how the yellow and green pathways were such a prominent gimmick that Stardew Peak shamelessly stole them for its lap, and these toads are kind of chilling me out. Then we get to Hyrule Circuit, one of the most disappointing crossovers in my opinion. This track had so much potential. Now, take it from someone who's never actually played a Legend of Zelda game. I've heard about it enough to the point where I know that Ocarina of Time is probably going to be a really good game, if I play it well, like that is. But where's the Goofy Mask Salesman? And a lot of the other characters. Now, and tack on the fact that most of this is just grass, when I'm definitely aware that Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask in particular have a lot more themes other than just grass. And you have a pretty disappointing crossover. Ending off the B tier is none other than the Flower Cup. If you guessed all of these correct, I have no idea what you're on today. So we start with Mario Circuit, a very underrated track in this game. Very underrated. Seriously, people smash this so much, considering how there's so many other good tracks, and this track is often overlooked. The only thing people really remember this track for is the fact that it introduces anti-gravity well, but I take it further than that. This track is one of the most satisfying to rip drifts on, and just cutting off a ton of the tracks is just so much fun too. And then Toad Harbor is just really fun with all the alternate pathways. There's a ton of alternate pathways in this track in particular. And there's that final downhill slope at the end feels really climactic. Then we go to Twisted Mansion, which is, ugh, I hate it. Then we go to Shy Guy Fall, okay. Very nice. Now go to Shy Guy Falls. Now, Shy Guys are very good. This track, very good. I love this track. Just don't ask me why. I absolutely love it. Because this track is just one of the most charming in the entire series. You can hear the Shy Guys yapping to the music if you go near them. I'm not gonna boot it up right now because I'm just too lazy. But you can wait. Where are? I need to get used to this. You gotta go. I'm not gonna half it on the bed. Oh, I just love doing this. Wait, what the happening? Anywho, so I think yeah, you can go there and you can go there. So overall, the B tier, very good. Most of these cups are actually really decent in terms of quality. We're really starting to get into the good tracks now. Once we move up from goodness of Put a Smile on Me, we go up to the A tier, or ones that I love racing on. And now, this is like the genuinely amazing dessert. So we have 28 cups remaining. We'll see how this goes. So, prediction time for our first A tier entry. For our first A tier entry, we're gonna go with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Star Cup. Now, this to some may think maybe a little bit too, but I feel like the consistency is a little bit wacky. We have Sunshine Airport, which is a decent callback to Mario Sunshine, while trying to do its own thing. Then we go to Dolphin Shoals, which is a decent underwater course. Then we to Electrodome, Mount Wario, S tier all over the place. I'll fully admit that. But the first two are just, I like Dolphin Shoals is just, I don't like what you done to the place. And then Sunshine Apple it's good. So overall, the other two are hard carrying. Like, I still like Dolphin Shoals, but nothing much to warrant the higher spots, I would say. What do you think comes after that? Continuing on is none other than Mario Kart Super Circuits Thunder Cup. If I can search it up, thank you. Mario Kart Super Circuits Lightning Cup, which I actually really like. We start off with the Luigi Circuit, which is an amazing track. I think we already talked about it in the Leaf Cup, I think it was, of DS. Then we get to Sky Garden, the definitive version of it, combat-wise. Then we go to Cheep Cheep Island, which I'm pretty shocked it hasn't been remade at all. And then Sunset, the definitive version of Sunset. So I think very consistent quality-wise. Sky Island's definitely the high point of it, and I think the low point honestly is Cheep Cheep Island. And even that's a stretch. I still really like it. So nice scale quality-wise, like a nice scale up. So Roll Super Circuit, for often being one of the most underrated games in the entire series, congrats, you held out to the A tier. What do you think is going to be higher than that? For our next entry on the tier list, we are going to go with none other than the Egg Cup. Now, this is normally looked as one of the greatest in the series, and I can understand why. We start off with Yoshi Circuit, the best version of it, obviously. Then we go to an amazing crossover with Excite Bike, one of Nintendo's oldest games of all time. Then Dragon Driftway, a nice callback to Galaxy 2. Though the racetrack is a little bit mid, I would say. Then Music, which speaks for itself. So overall, this is more of a crossover cup than anything, because we go from Yoshi to Excite Bike to Galaxy 2 to F-Zero. And I think there's another cup later on that does these way better, but we'll get to that later. But I think it's very, just like the Super Circuit Thunder Cup, it's very consistent. There's not a single low point here. Dragon Driftway, even that still makes my A tier. That's the weakest of this bunch. So, you know what? Go up there, Egg Cup. What is after that though? Prediction time! Is now closed. If you guessed Star Cup. If I can even get to the wiki page, that is. If you guess the Star Cup from Mario Kart Double Dash, congrats, you've earned another medal. We start off with Shubberland, which I'll admit is a bit on the mid-side, but I still like it nonetheless. I told you with that Bias Flies tracks. Then we get to okay, Mushroom City Based, such an amazing track. Then we get to Yoshi Circuit, in my opinion, the inferior version of the 8 version, but way better than the DS version. Then the definitive version of DK Mountain. I'm not sure if I explained this before, but I just love just wacky themes for a track, and Star Cup handles that perfectly with the most wacky ice track in the series to just your normal city that is better than Crown City, what I dare say, to a little Yoshi, to a mountain that looks like it wants to kill you. I love that sort of thing in my games, so I think Double Dash got quite a few points knocked up for that. So, you know what? There you are. Enjoy that all you want, Double Dash fans. I'm on your side today. But with that, we've entered the top 25. With that entry, what do you think comes in 24th place? The answer to that question is none other than this is where I make some enemies, I guess. But this is Leaf Cup from Mario Kart 7. Now, Calamari, bet on the original. This is not the definitive version, I'll dare say, but it's better than the 8 version, if I say so. Then we go to DK Pass, which is actually fairly cool if you think about it. I actually really like this track, even though it's like 100 times better on the world version. I still really like this one. I think this one's often overlooked or really underrated, if you ask me. Then we go to Daisy Cruiser, which needs no introduction. We've already talked about this in the Flower Cup of Double Dash. It's just really good. And it looks even better here. I think that the water section actually works greater here to greater effect. Then we go to Maple Treeway, which needs no introduction anymore. So we start like it starts off with a bit of a low, but that's fine. We start low, then we get gradually better. I think it balances it out very well over here. So you know what? I don't care how many people think that's a lazy analysis. We're already like 2 hours into this thing. Let's keep it going. Leaf Cup, go up here. Prediction time off. If you guessed, I can tell this might be a bit of a controversial pick. People may glamor to see this much higher. But next up we have the, if I can find it, Banana Cup Mario Kart World. Now Peach Beach is a very good track in terms of second lap. The third lap is pretty peaceful, yeah, it just is a bit boring if you're trying to be competitive. And the first lap is a bit nostalgic, but kind of ruins the vibe of the original. I'm happy it brought back the Catquacks though. Then Salty Speedway. Birda cameo is very nice. I love how prominent she is throughout the track. And this kind of treads on Shy Guy Bazaar's aesthetic a little bit. Then Dino Jungle. Oh, okay. Now we got the juice. The laboratory, I love it a lot. I prefer it way much over the temple. It gives it more mechanical form. I love it. It reminds me of Mutation Crisis from Rolling Sky, and I love it. But that's not the peak. Do you know what the actual peak is? The most popular Nitro in the game. Great question block, Ruins. Bad name aside, like holy hell, that name is horrible. This track is actually amazing. The aesthetic is beautiful with the gold cover and all, and the track design is great too with the amount of turns you have to make and the infamous bounce ring cart, boost ring cart I meant. And overall, I'd say it's pretty good of a track. It's also very distinct from the open world, since you literally have to travel via a giant water cannon just to get to it. And do I even have to talk about all the tech on this track? And the free roam is great too, since there's a path to get on top of the question mark block. So overall, the low point is Peach Beach, and it gradually gets better to PK Great Question Block, which is a good thing. It gradually gets better, which is a feat that very few cups are able to achieve. So you know what? Banana Cup, you can go up there. Oh my god, we're getting close. What is next though? Prediction time is now closed. If you guessed the special cup from Mario Kart Double Dash, congratulations! You've earned a gold medal. This cup is very consistent in terms of quality, if I do say so. There are some specific highs. First off, Royal Coliseum. This track is very unique with its 2-lap structure due to its big giant length. It's a very controversial track, if I say so. Barring Baby Park, if I say. And the aesthetic is unique. It's split between being hated or loved. So I think this one's more biased towards the good side, and I'm definitely on their side for this. Then we go to Dino Jungle, which hasn't really changed from its original, may I say, aside from the fact that the only dinosaur is the Noshi. Then we go to Bowser's Castle, which is the single most terrifying track in the entire Mario Kart series. Let me just shut you up by putting on its music. I think you got the idea. It's very scary. Then after that, we go to Rainbow Road. It's called a road. It's called. This track is just so iconic. I love it. So overall, I think it's safe to say that Double Dash ended on a super high note. I think that no one's gonna argue with me on that. You should not. All right. What do we comes after that though, guys? Prediction time over. If you guessed the Leaf Cup, returning yet again. Wait, where is it? Oh yeah, there. For Mario Kart World, congratulations, you've earned another medal. It's kind of shocking how you've probably guessed a lot of the courses correct at this point. We start with Cheap Falls, which for being the track that eases you into the Leaf Cup is really harsh. I love it for that though. However, if I'm being honest, I think this track would have worked best in the Lightning Cup. They should have put Moo Meadows in the Leaf Cup and then Cheap Falls in the Lightning Cup, showing how that cup is bull-crunchingly difficult. It would have worked better than there, but I guess. This track's really good though. I love the wall physics. Then we get to Dandelion Depths, which is the closest we'll get to 3D Mario with the Steam Gardens aesthetic. Though it's a decent track, I guess, layout-wise. Not much that warrants a higher placement, but it scratches it enough to satisfy me. Then we get to Boo Cinema. Aesthetically, one of the best tracks in the game. Gameplay, one of the worst. I'm not gonna. This track is just you drive, you go up, you go down, and you drive. Don't get me wrong, the aesthetic is just so much fun. It's one of the most original aspects of the entire, I think Boo Cinema is in contention for the most original theme in the entire series. It's absolutely in contention. Then we get to Dry Bones Burnout. What an amazing track. This is like the airship fortress of this game. It would function better as a Bowser Castle, but it stands great on its own. I think they took my daytime criticism of Airship to heart and made this one really nighttime. It has a ton of lava, which is really cool, and then Dry Bones is a cool character overall. Not to mention it gives off Fishbone vibes too, which is cool because you're literally in a sea of lava, and fish are in seas. Whatever, it suits the theme well. So a very nice scale in terms of aesthetic. Not in game. So we go from A to B to C to S. A, B, C, and S. and I think that is very good of a scale. But with that, we've officially reached the top. Wait, let me get. Yeah, we've officially reached the top 20, and I cannot believe it. If you've made it this far, please consider subscribing. It took me a genuinely long time to make this video. What do you think is in my top 20? How long has it been since we've had a Mario Kart Wii track? 1, 2. 29 cups is long enough. Wii Mushroom Cup, you are absolutely amazing. And you're kicking off this top 10, 20 with a grain of salt. So, we start off with Luigi Circuit, which by normal standards is a pretty mid track, but for Starter Cup standards it's actually fairly a decent track. Even if it isn't the most complete one, it's the one that eases players into the game best. Because like how wacky the motion controls are in this game, I think this having a ton of very wide roads eases players in better. Because like that's how the majority will be playing that. Then Moo Moo Meadows, the best version of it, obviously. It got some. Hey, okay. We're getting some dessert today. Mushroom Gorge. This is like the best version of Mushroom Gorge. There's no even denying it. Yes, you have to admit. Then Toad's Factory, absolutely amazing. I cannot believe we had to wait. We had to wait until A tier to get to Toad's Factory, but like this track is actually really good. Like, can we just fire out the music real quick? Like, I don't know what to Just listen to this. Just listen to this. And then the clapping. Yeah, like, as Chloe between 596 says, there's like and then we look. So, listen to this. Hold on, whoa. Where is BJ? Where is my boy BJ? Oh, it's here. He's here. Well, I would say that the world version of the music is definitely better by a long shot. Well, not a long shot. I can't help but say that the original doesn't have me bopping my head a lot. After all, it's in my top 10 for a reason. So we go from a decent starter track to a very good scale up, then a fan favorite and a fan favorite. So yeah, you can say in the top 20. I think you deserve it. Wii Mushroom Cup. What goes after that though? Prediction time! I think this might be the most controversial take in the entire video so far. I'm going to give it to... I can already hear a... What the hell? I'm going to give it to 3DS! 3DS Special Cup. Now, don't get me wrong, Bowser's Castle? Disappointing. What else though? Rosalina's Ice World? I have the bias, so you can't argue with me on that. Even if I think that the name is pretty mid, I would prefer to call it Rosalina Glacier. That sounds a bit better in my opinion. But there's no excuse for DK and Rainbow. DK Jungle is just such a really good crossover, even if the jungle theme has been overused a ton. I think this track absolutely is worthy of having the theme. It uses it to phenomenal effect too, with the golden temple at the end, with the water, and then the split path at the end. I think the split path is done better in MK8, but... And then, wait, do I have to talk about Rainbow Road again? It's my favorite course in the series for good reason. Do I have to talk about it again? I think not. So we go from a good crossover, a very good crossover, to one that's being heavily carried by bias, I'll admit, to an okay Bowser Castle to Mario Kart 7's Rainbow Road. I think World barely might. It's a close contest between this and Mario Kart World's Rainbow Road. I'll think about it later, but anyway, you can go. Oh, Oh no, wrong special cup. We special cup. I sincerely apologize to you. I hope you sincerely forgive me. Anywho, what is next? These next two are from none other than the original Mario Kart 8. First up is the Special Cup. Yeah, we're having two Special Cups in a row. Real. So we start with Cloud Top Cruise, which is one of the most underrated tracks in this game, period. I don't know why, but this track just gives me really good Jack and the Beanstalk vibes, and I dig that a lot. The air shop in the background gives you the feeling of, so it gives me New Super Mario Bros. Wii 6 airship vibes, which might sound so specific, but if I were to fire it up right now, where's the gallery? Oh, the level map. Come on, don't go all day. Oh, okay, this thing doesn't show it, but the aesthetic of a 6 airship in NSMB Wii, it looks very similar to that of Cloud Top Cruise, but I love it for that. Then we get to Bone Dry Dunes. I used to really hate on this track when I was younger. Like, I think I put it in Z tier or Z tier, depending on where you're from. But I think I like it a little bit more because I've become a lot nicer to it. Because it looks really nice. I'll fully give it that. Even if I think this, I have not grown on this. Like, this icon is really bad. But then we go to okay, Bowser's Castle. Not the best one in the series, but it's the most consistent one quality-wise. And then we get to don't get me wrong, Rainbow Road. It's a really good track. Don't get me wrong, but it's just it doesn't give me that punch that I really like every now and again. So overall, I think this is just not that good. Then our no other cup from this end segment is none other than the Boomer Rank Cup. Okay, I guess. Just gonna link us immediately. So we start off with Bangkok Rush, which is actually a decent city if you think about it, layout-wise. I'm actually kind of happy we have a two-city cup again. A two-city cup. I feel like that. Like, pretty sure the last time we had one was way back in Jericho, which was what 2 hours something ago at this point. I'm guessing. I haven't edited this yet. But if you think it, but Bangkok is a pretty decent to sell us in. Mario's DS Mario Circuit is serviceable. Well, not the best choice, I guess. But now that we have Airship, in WoW, there was some. I feel like they should have put Airship in this game because this had so much potential. Even with Wave 4's graphics were pretty decent. So I think this could have benefited greatly for it. Considering how I liked it, like from World's graphics, I liked Airship. I liked DS's graphics over World's graphics. Don't ask me how they did that. I'll tell you one that I definitely did like over World's graphics. GameCube Waluigi Stadium. Holy boy, how did they manage to make this track look so good? I love this track. I think we already yapped about it in Double Dash, but I feel like it takes both the best aspects from GameCube and Wii and that applies it to 8 while giving a ton of girder ramp thingies that you can only access via the half-pipes, which makes it a little bit pointless, which makes a already pointless obstacle even better actually. As not to mention that for the first one in particular, you have to contend with the fire bar in order to even get to this, because you need enough speed to even get onto the girder. Then we get to Singapore Speedway, one of the best tracks in the game, obviously. This might be one of the most satisfying angles of a photo, if I'm being real with you guys, because this track is just wholly great. I do think it's a bit overrated. People keep saying top 10. I think Oli K put this in 8th, but it's a very good track nonetheless. Don't think it isn't. Boomerang and Special absolutely deserve their spots. So you can go there, and where are you going? You can go there. Is that fair? I think it is. So we have 2 more entries. What do you think they are? Prediction time! Prediction time is now closed. If you guessed, get me down here. Oh yes. I'm pretty sure it was if you guessed the Feather Fruit Cup, then this game This wiki needs to stop. We start off with Amsterdam Drift, one of the most boring in the game if I'm being completely honest. But then it immediately picks up with Riverside Park, one of the most aesthetically underrated tracks in the game. Because this track looks hella gorgeous with the sunset that still burns my eyes, the grass, the literal piranha plant walking here with the items, the bridge, the multicolored blocks actually fit this track, the muddy ground. This track's up to the base game, and I'm not joking either. DK Summit is absolutely amazing, as we all know and love it. But then we end with Yoshi's Island, which is an actual top 10 for me in this game in particular. Maybe even the entire series, but absolutely in this game. I think no one's gonna argue when I say when you have an OKC, an amazing GBA remake, an amazing Wii remake, and an amazing new track that absolutely works as a faithful nod and recreation to one of Nintendo's most iconic games of all time, Yoshi's Island, Fruit Cup, reigns above all other else in the A tier. But yeah, even still, there's still one more A tier that reigns supreme above the others. What do you think it is? I'm not letting you guys predict for much longer at this point. If you guessed, let me get out of this wiki. If you guessed the Lightning Cup, not this Lightning Cup, don't worry, not this one, from, was it? Yeah, from Mario Kart 7, you are absolutely on the money, baby. This cup is absolutely consistent with its design. So we start off with Wii Koopa Cave, a butchered version of it, in my opinion. It lacks the same. I think it's the same of the I think it's the same of the 8 version, minus the fact that this track actually has the signs, and the standards in this game are lower. So you know what? I'll give you a little bit of a pass. Then we get to Dino Jungle, which is pretty good, but I think works better with the smoother controls of this game, so that the alternate paths are actually possible, and the fact that the geysers don't blow you up when you hit them. Then we go to Airship Fortress, which is I think this track, like this version, would probably reign supreme over the DS version. I'm not sure. I won't pick it though. Then we go to, okay, SNES Rainbow Road. It's time we meet you one last time, SNES Rainbow Road, because, oh yeah, you are absolutely beautiful here, and I cannot believe it, because I think that the Rainbow Thwomps in particular look absolutely gorgeous. It's crazy how this track has the Thwomps, yet SNES Rainbow Road in the original doesn't have it on the map. Pretty big robbery. But anyway, we have consistency, but I'd say that SNES Rainbow Road was a little bit disappointing, considering the fact that, why is it pink and not red? I'm pretty sure Rainbow isn't that, and not to mention the fact that, can we just, fire up the original again? Can you just fire up the original again? I'm not sure if you knew about this, and maybe I'm being a bit petty, but where is it? Ugh. Ah, yes, but here it is. But the colors actually, they went up the rainbow rather than down it, which makes it a lot nicer to look at in my eyes, because I don't like looking at things in opposite. And not to mention the fact that, I don't know, but it feels a little bit flatter than normal. And as a finale to the cup, I mean, it works well as a finale, but not really as a finale to the game. You get what I mean? Not to mention, you came off an extremely high bar and you went slightly below it, if that makes sense. And Koopa Cape also takes it from S to A, but even then, you should not undermine the absolute beauty that is this cup. So you can still stay at the top of A. But then, we've made it, gamers. We've gone from the A tier, love racing on here, to the S tier. If you called me over, god damn it, I'm saving your phone number, because I want to play that cut some more. I cannot believe it, we've officially entered the best of the best. But real quick, let's see who's still standing in the moment. DS Flower Cup, DS Star Cup, Wii Flower Cup, Wii Star Cup, Wii Special Cup, 3DS Star Cup, 3DS Banana Cup, 8 Lightning Cup, 8 Crossing Cup, 8 Spell Cup, 8 Feather Cup, 8 Spiny Cup, World's Special Cup, and finally World's Lightning Cup. Out of all 89 cups, these 4 teams stand out amongst the rest. So what do you think is our low S tier entry? Predictions are now closed. I think for our very first S tier entry, we're gonna go with none other than the Crossing Cup. I think this cup is absolutely amazing. I've said that about a lot of them, but can you blame me? This in particular is amazing. First we start with Baby Park, which is one of the best tracks in the game aesthetically. Don't even try and argue with me on that. Then we get to Cheeseland, which is a inferior version to the original, but it's still very good nonetheless. It has its own merits to be pretty fun to race on, but I miss the aesthetic of the original more. Then we get to Wild Woods, which is a very great layout with the fun treehouse vibe to it, and the fun water slide at the end. I love that kind of thing. Then Animal Crossing, which I think is there's no low points, but Animal Crossing would be the one if I'm being completely honest. Don't get me wrong, the 4 seasons, very charming. This might genuinely be the best track in the entire game, aesthetically, in my opinion. I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but Animal Crossing is a strong contender for the best one. It changes between spring, summer, autumn, and then autumn and winter, or fall, depending on where you're from. But either way, they all look absolutely gorgeous. And you're not even gonna argue with me on that, because you agree with me, don't you? You agree with me. You better agree with me. But overall, when you have a very great opener, and still strong inferior remake, an absolutely amazing original track, and still insane crossover track with Animal Crossing, I'm happy. If you called me over, I'm asking for your phone number, because I don't see what else I can do otherwise. But there's 13 other that beat it out, so what do you think is above it? I'm surprised it's even close to the top 10, but if you guessed the Flower Cup from Mario Kart DS, you are in fact right on the money. Now, I know what you're gonna thinking, oh, Desert Hills, Desert Hills, Desert Hills. It actually works quite well in this game if I say so. I think in a game which the standards are much lower, tracks like these thrive quite well, not to mention it being a little bit of the first taste. And I think this is the track that you want to work well as the beginner of this track, of this cup. Then you get to Delfino Square, absolutely amazing crossover from Mario Sunshine. I cannot express enough how good this track is. Not in contention for the best in the series, but definitely in contention for the best in this game. If Waluigi Pinball left the chat, which I don't need to explain, this track is the GOAT of DS. Definitely not being serious, but definitely the GOAT of DS. And then we enter Shroom Ridge. And can we just compare the music for a minute? This is just okay. Now the original, okay I guess, but same old. What is this melody? I've already explained it, but I'm just gonna say it again. You can hear the bass, and the music, and the instrument. Best beat drop of my life. I especially love this loop right here. I love this loop. I love this part of the music. I love this part. I love getting trolled like that. I think like these kind of music are really good when you're in chaotic situations, and especially when you're doing cool things, and when you're jumping off the track itself to get to the propeller area, and this part plays. Look, I cannot believe I just went to the long explanation of how good that Shroom Ridge was. But overall, Desert definitely the low point of the cup, but that's not saying much because the other three are hard carrying it up to S. Agree, this is my tier list, my rules. What do you think comes after that though? Prediction time over. If you guessed the Star Cup, ooh, we have a dual entry this time. We have 2 Star Cups from different games. The 2 games in particular are Mario Kart 7's Mushroom Cup and Mario Kart DS's Mushroom Cup, both for the different reasons alone. The inferior of the 2, which Star Cup I meant to say. DK Pass, a bit better than the 7 counterpart because the standards are lower, but overall, I don't think it's not worth racing on. It's pretty low. The DK tracks have a really high bar. I think the DK tracks have to do these 3 things right. B, have really boppy music. B, a bull-crunchingly difficult track. And finally, have a really fun aesthetic. DK Pass, fun aesthetic. Have a boppy tune? I guess so. Bull-crunchingly hard? Absolutely not. Then we get to TikTok. Okay, this a very good crossover from Super Mario 64. There was a bit of an issue I take with this track in particular. TikTok Clock was one of the hardest stages in Mario Kart. I need to get out of my memory alone. TikTok Clock was one of the hardest stages in Super Mario 64. So I think they could have made that a little bit more of the focusing point in DS. But I think what this track lacks in difficulty, it makes up for in terms of pure creativity. This is just amazing how you think about it, even if the aesthetics look pretty bad. Although, wait, is that a floor? Is that a floor I see? Or is that not? Okay, let's go out to Brother, this was in contention. This was in really big contention for the best. Let me down. Mario Circuit, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good, but I definitely love the 8 version even more than I should, but, god damn it. Then we get to 8, okay. Airship Fortress, nice. Also, we're gonna be talking about Airship one last time, and I'm not gonna talk about it, okay, so try harder, guys. So, overall, DS is a bit lopsided, but DK and Mario are definitely a little bit at low points, but TikTok Clock and Airship Fortress are carrying these tracks a long way. So this is DK Pass. Like if we had DK Pass, then we would have it would be right about here alone. Then TikTok Clock would bring it up to here. Mario Circuit would put it down to here, and then Airship puts it up here. Is that fair? I think it is. Then we go on to the other in this segment, which is Mario Kart 7's. The first track, Piranha Plant Piranha Plant Slide, is a really good track as a whole. If you think about it, not even as a crossover, it's a great track. It's a nice little cameo to Mario Kart. Really nice nod to Super Mario's original roots with the iconic 1-2 performance. Just play the track one time and you'll understand. Oh, and hey, before Europeans get it wrong, the name is Piranha Plant Pipeway. Piranha Plant Pipeway. Get it right, okay? Then we go to Wario Shipyard. This track definitely got a lot more attention after its appearance in World, but even its original is actually fairly cool if you think about it. I mean, you'll keep on going out of ships and back into ships. And if you think about it, it gives off that bit of that Wario vibe in that it's kind of spooky and scary and difficult. Then we get on to Neo. Oh, yeah. Say more, fire up the melody. I don't normally fire up melodies. We haven't really fired up melodies a lot, aside from a few. But this is one I just have to point out. Just listen to that.
It starts. No.
Stop trolling me. Wait, what? This is bad. Oh, good god. Okay, there's the actual one. this part, like this drop in particular, like this one note. Like if you, I'll light up the screen when it comes up. Hear that? I think you did. Then we get to Maka Woohoo! Everything I said about Woohoo Loop applies to this tenfold. It's section based, has a gorgeous sunset, you explore off more of the upper half of the island, whereas Woohoo Island show you most of the ground, and you end off with one of the greatest glider segments in the entire series. So, all in all, you have a really decent selection of tracks here. It generally hurts me to put this one outside the top 10. Because if we were looking at so best tracks alone, this would be the easy top pick for this game alone. For this game in particular, if we looked at alone, it would be the easy top pick, aside from one. And I just say one, okay? But now, after all of this time, we've been recording for, let's check, like over 2 hours actually. I haven't checked it on all that much, but definitely over 2 hours. We officially reached the top 10. If I, like, this was already an unenviable task, but organizing this 10, this is even worse. Oh my god. In 10th, what do you think is beating out 79 other tracks in the top 10? Prediction time over. If you guessed the Wii Flower Cup, you are in fact around the money. I think this does a thing great in that it's really good in terms of quality overall. It starts with a really cool game. It starts with your weakest track, but it's good. You start with the weakest track, you get better. I think Mario Circuit as a whole is good. Like, don't get me wrong, it is Figure 8 Circuit 2, but nothing that I'd say warrants being bad. It has the castle, for God's sake, and it looks really red. And I have a nostalgia for Wii, if you can tell. Then the rainbows in the back are a really nice touch, especially this Mario Rainbow Balloon. Not to mention the nod to SMBDS with the balloons, with the giant hill mushroom things. Then Coconut Mall needs no introduction, iconic as it is. I'm just gonna fire up the music for you. I just love, no, not the Wii version. Can we go to the other one? Thank you. This music is in contention for probably the most complete in the entire series. I just love it. This one's for you, Blake. I'm sorry, what is this? Frogger XD69, this song sounds different, don't have the blue shirt. I'm telling you, these guys are crazy with the comment. I'm gonna get a headache if I keep bumping my head. Can we just put it on for the rest of the thing? So then we go to DK Summit, which is actually a fairly decent track. Like, I love this track in Wii in particular. I think they butchered it in a bit in 8, but I think this track was best on Wii. The double jump was way more satisfying in this game than the others, and the overall controls of Wii allowed you to do better tricks on the half pipes. The physics just allowed this one to be hard carried. And the Warriors Go Mine, absolutely amazing. I love how the exploits in this track absolutely break it to an absolute nonchalant degree. And the overall track as a whole is a track roller coaster. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm one of the few with acrophobia, but when this track is so good that even I, with a fear of roller coasters, absolutely love it. You know you've hit a pretty high bar. So you know what, Flower Cup, stay in the top 10 for all I can. And god damn it, turn off this music, that's not gonna keep getting up. I'm gonna get a headache. What do you think is after that though? Now for the cup that showed that the booster course pass was holding nothing back. the spiny cup is Stop Trolling Me With This Wiki! And we start off with Madrid Drive, which is actually one of the best city tracks in the game. That's not saying much, but better than Roma Vanti at least. This is a very good track, because I think Arlo was way too harsh on this in particular. He put this in last place on his ranking, but I don't think it's that. I think there's just something about this track in particular that just oozes charm for me. Maybe it's the fact that its graphics are up to par with the base game. Maybe it's the fact that the sports stadium is so amazing. Maybe it's the fact that the music is so fire. Then we get to Rosalie the Glacier one last time, and I gotta admit, this skybox looking pretty gorgeous with the galaxy. Take it from someone who grew up playing Star Fox 64 3D. I had a huge nostalgia for the sky and the overall space themes, so I cannot express how nostalgic it is to see the sky and just think, wow, that's so cool. Not to mention these comet observatory plans, these comet observatories. I think one of the main things that people hate on is the fact that Rosalie the Glacier is an ice track. But if you look past that, then it's actually a pretty solid, it's actually pretty decent if you think about it. People really hate this track just because it's an ice track. What? If this was a lava track, you'd love it? Unbelievable. Then we go to SNES BC3, which needs no introduction. One of the best. I think if we were talking about tracks that have been the most improved over its original version, BC3 would be the easy top pick. It's absolutely fun, difficult, and overall aesthetically beautiful. With the beautiful lava aesthetic. And also for your information, I don't think lava is beautiful. And then while BC3 is great, it can't hold a candle to Wii Rainbow Road. Considering how this is the only course in the game that actually made me cry, I think this is a very good track to end on, the entire game, and the end of an era, honestly, if you think about it. So, you know what, Spiny Cup, I hold you in really high regard. There are just 8 I hold in even higher regard. Hope you can understand that, okay? In 8th place is Prediction Time! Seven, you put up a really good fight, but I hate to break it to you, but your empire ends now. If I can find you, that is. I'm sorry, 7, but if you guessed the Mario Kart 7 Banana Cup, you are in fact right on the money. N64 Koopa Beach, one of the best remakes that an N64 track has ever gone. I love it a ton, especially the Koopa Troopa rock. And the fact that you can actually drive underwater now. Take that, Mario Kart World. Then we get to SNES Mario Kart 2, a very faithful recreation, yeah I know. But at least it makes sense, it's a SNES track for God's sake. We get to, if my keyboard lets me, Coconut Mall. Okay, this track is, I still have a ton of fun on this, don't get me wrong, but Then Waluigi Pinball, which has not been nerfed in the slightest. It looks a lot better. So you know what? Banana Cup, I don't care that I lasted about 7 seconds on you. You can set that. What do you think is after that though? We've reached the main 7, which means prediction time is on now. Ordering all these was really difficult to rank, but at number 7 we have the Wii. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So at number 7 we have the Special Cup, and I'm sorry that I had to put up different things, but we start with Dry Ruins, which is a very the best desert course in the series, obviously. I'm not sure, but I really hate desert biomes, as the biome. I really hate desert. So, I like Dry Ruins. It's really good, actually. I'm not gonna touch on it for this, considering how I'm getting tired at this point. Then we get to Moonview Highway, a very fun desert track. I need to stop. A very fun traffic track with the King of Speed. You're proving your best friend here, actually. And I need to finish this quick, because I want to see the Mushroom Moon. If you get me correctly. Then we get to, wait, what is, oh, I'm on a different page. The Wii version of Bowser's Castle, which is my favorite in the series actually. Nothing can top this, in my opinion, because it's just, it's the most complete of the bunch, with the giant mechanical Bowser, the wavy roads at the end, the thwomps, the tons of fire bars, the end with the geysers, which gives you risk reward, the overall haunting atmosphere, the really haunting skybox, the scary skybox, then Rainbow Road for Wii, which speaks for itself. So, all in all, a very good showing for the final special cup on this list. There are just 6 I hold in higher regard, and number 6 is prediction time yet again. Actually, I'm gonna shuffle all these remaining 6 up while you guess. Prediction time is now closed. If you guess the special cup from Mario Kart World, congrats, you are in fact correct. Good god, how has World even gotten this far? We start with Acorn Heights, which is a really good evolution on Wild Woods if you think on it, because they have similar aesthetics, don't get me wrong, but I think this one is a bit more different because Bumblebee and Stingbee, I'm not gonna go into too much detail. And then SNES Mario Circuit. I think the thing that separated Special from these other 5 was SNES Mario Circuit. It single-handedly took it out, but it's not bad per se. It doesn't live up to the other standards. Then Peach Stadium, better than the Shell counterpart, that's for sure. And then Rainbow Road. I think this is the only Rainbow Road in the series that can even try and even stand a chance against 7's one. And I think something I find really charming is the fact that you can see Peach Stadium in the background. Oh my god. This is actually the only way to get to it, from here. That's really charming for me. Then that's pretty much it. And prediction time is on. Eat your cups out, Booster Course Pass cups. You cannot hold a candle to the 8 Feather Cup. Honestly, putting it this low feels criminal. Athens is a really good city track. Daisy Cruiser is, like, I think the first 3 are, I think we're gonna spend most of it yapping about Speedy Clean Sprint. I love it when Nintendo just goes, let's just do the wackiest all thing ever. So, this is just one of the most fun tracks ever in my eyes. It's really fun, and I love it for that. It made a cameo in Mario Kart World in terms of music, which is really charming no matter how you look at it. And the fact that it's a giant bathroom, for God's sake, goes to show how good it is. There are just 4 that I think is even better. What do you think is landing just outside the top 3? I'll tell you what it is. It's 8 Deluxe's Lightning Cup, baby. And I don't think anyone's gonna argue with me when I say it's good, but not enough. Because I think TikTok Clock was done way better in this game in particular, because the aesthetics are way better, and despite the fact that it doesn't resemble Super Mario 64's level anymore, which is the whole point, which is a bit sad, but I'll live with it. Front hand side, still fire, hasn't changed at all aside from anti-gravity a bit. And then Global Volcano, which looks way better, obviously. It wants to burn you. I can't help but think that's so charming. And then N64 Rainbow Road, which needs no introduction because it's one of the most heard about and redeemed tracks in this entire series, even though I thought the original was already very good. I'm sorry if I'm taking taking way too low time. I'm tired, okay? Cut me some slack. 8 Deluxes earns just a spot just outside the top 3, and honestly, even that still feels too low for it. But even still, which cup do you think takes the bronze medal? For our bronze medal, we're going to none other than the World Lightning Cup, baby! Yes, I indeed say cupping, and I don't care what you think. So, if you think about it, this cup is one of the most consistent in the entire series. Moon Meadows, mean potential, I know, a bit of a low point, but not enough that warrants it being demoted, I'd say. It's still absolutely fire of a track.
Despite not having that exact amount of difficulty, I think it still functioned very well, because a lot of people seem to just smash it down. okay the fact that it just appeared in Mario Kart 8, so we have to deal with it twice in a row, and that kind of hate is just overblown to me. Because if you think about it, this track has got quite a few positive attributes to it, like the cows, the windmills. Sure, there are some good features missing, like the sunset and all, but overall, I think this cup has started off very well, even though I would have preferred Cheat Cheat Falls, but I kind of understand that due to that kind of clashing with the open world.
Chocolate Mountain, one of the most revamped tracks in the entire series. It feels nothing like it's original, and honestly, we love it.
Chocolate Mountain is just absolutely insane compared to the original. I mean, comparing them, the difference is almost crazy. You took what was originally a mountain with just boulders flying everywhere and just an overall chocolate atmosphere and turned it into a giant stadium with a lot more industry going on, with charging chucks for crying out loud. I personally think they took the track and revamped it quite a lot. And while I personally think that quite a few tracks in this game went way too far with revamping the tracks to the point where they became literally unidentical, Chocolate Mountain does fall into that category, but makes up for it for being genuinely fun. And the excess of mud is a good thing because, let me reiterate, we are in the Lightning Cup, so you ideally would want it to be hard. And just to prove my point about this not even being identical to N64, most of the retro tracks in this game have, what was it again? Prefixes that symbolize what game they're from. This does not actually. So even the game partially agrees with me. Then Toad's Factory. At this point, this is the part where I would just say it speaks for itself and just move on. But this time I'm not gonna. Because Toad's Factory has made its grand return, which is just too good to not put up here. I mean, just think about it. They took what was already an amazing track from Mario Kart Wii, almost kept the original layout untouched, improved on the graphics a ton, implemented the parkour, aka the grinding rails, in a non-obtrusive way, kept the ending still as intense, and overall added tech that meshed well with this game, such as being able to drive on the bulldozers and all that. So as far as I'm concerned, this is literally like the perfect remake. And I'm not even using that word lightly. Literally the perfect remake. This is all I could have asked for if I wanted a remake of Toad's Factory. And as an analyzer, as we come to expect throughout this journey, I tried scanning this course for any sort of nitpicks I considered in the slightest, but honestly, I got nothing. The flow is just so smooth. And then we end off with the best possible notes. Bowser's Castle, one of the most absolutely epic tracks in the whole series. I mean, holy hell. So let's just take the course of that for example. The straight road is just absolutely phenomenal. And you know what, I lied. Get out of here. I absolutely just love the fact that it takes you on this journey, and it's midway through puts on the boost panel on your, I don't know how to say this, but at some point you'll be able to go non-stop without being able to stop because you're speeding so fast. And that adds challenge that stacks up on each other. And that's not to mention how absolutely difficult this course is. Like, if you're not good at this game, you are gonna get kicked out quite a few times, seriously. And this is one of the rare instances where I want to get onto the lava with the mushroom so I can just zoom out so I don't burn to my fiery death. The aesthetic is just so fire too. I just love the amount of fire, lava, and Bowser in it, despite it feeling very industrial, which contrasts quite well with the old castles to symbolize us evolving through the ages. My favorite aesthetical touch is also just the spiral of lava. I just can't help but love it.
So I think for that you can stay up there. So thanks for taking the bronze medal of cupping, Mario Kart World. What do you think takes the silver medal of cupping? That one will go to none other than the Bell Cup from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. If you already calculated what's coming in at number 1, props to you. But for now, let's check out the Bell Cup. 3DS Koopa C, definitely better in this version than it was in the Mario Kart 7 one, that's for sure. But the music is not that bad, honestly. And the reason I think that is solely because this just doesn't have that futuristic feeling anymore that 7 managed to aim perfectly. I think that it might be a bit of a controversial pick, but I think the more realistic tone that 8 goes for in terms of aesthetics hurts this track a bit more than I'd like. And of course, the infamous part of the track that is widely known as controversial is 200cc on this track is just hell. Just seriously, play this on 200cc one time and you'll understand. Because either the slipperiness, the controls, the tight turns, or the lack of guardrails, sometimes all of the above will screw you over, and honestly I just love it for that. I just have a huge love for this track, well because Bowser is just too badass to go past. Ribbon Road, which is one of the most revamped tracks in the entire series. I don't think we've seen GBA ever since like, what, A tier? And I don't even think it was in there. It was, I think it was, where was it? Let's just remember. It was back in C tier. So we haven't seen this in like over 2 hours, I think. But don't think that it's similar to GBA in any way. No. They didn't just take it and call it a day with a few blow-ups and all that. They straight up turned this track into a child's bedroom. They have a ton of Easter eggs in the background. So much so I don't think I'll be able to pull all of them out. But I think this image will be enough to help me describe everything that's happening in this chaos. So as we all know, we're in the bedroom, aka the windows and curtains. And then there's tons of carts that you do end up finding throughout Mario Kart 8, mostly the Biddy Buggy and this Teddy Bug thing, and tons of presents as well, which is the whole point of ribbons. And the track itself is actually so much fun too, and the aesthetics on the tracks are great too, with the red ribbon, the green ribbon, which you can see at a distance, and the blue ribbon covering the whole. And there's a reference to Yoshi's Woolly World too, alongside tons more presents and castles, for crying out loud. There's a ton of castles to reference the mainline games, all because Peach has her own castle and is colored in with that blue and red. I just love it. And there's a bed and a cupboard clock and door. It's basically Squeaky Clean Spring, except we're in a bedroom. And I think this is just absolutely beautiful. Not to mention this Yoshi thing, which I'm unable to read, and the stool. So while I did yap a bit about the aesthetics, I think that's more than justified, solely because it's just too much fun. I'm just having fun on this track. And can you blame me? And then Super Bell Subway is one of the most original tracks in the series. It's just so charming, graceful, and I love it for that. I also love how there's a ton of graffiti, and among one of those graffitis is a callback to 1-2, which is a bit ironic considering how you're literally underground in a subway, and you're underground, which is the point of 1-2, being underground. But still, this track would be nothing without its absolutely fire layout, which I am about to explain now, if I can find you that. Yeah, this should help me explain more, I suppose. So, for your information, there are tons of little paths off to the side of the main train that you can take to avoid it, with the downside being that these tracks are super difficult to navigate. So you have to be skilled enough to drive them, but you also have the reward of not having to contend with the train, which takes up just enough space to be a bone-crunching threat, but not enough to the point where it's like, I am annoying. And the aesthetics are still phenomenal with the Subway Surfers on theme. And I also just love how cool it is. And you can also drive on the train, for God's sake. So even if you do land on it, it's not the end of the world. Just speed off of it. And there's tons of shortcut possibilities too. And the 1-2 reference, I wasn't lying about that. And then Big Blue needs no introduction. This track might just be one of the most utterly exciting and electric in the entire series, and I love it for that. So we start off with, this is gonna take a while, we are at the starting line, and then you take a turn. If I can, yeah, so you take a turn. So you start at the starting line, everything's all fine and all, but boom, another turn, and then boom, another. You have to keep making these very fast turns, which is not easy due to how narrow and fast the track forces you to go along. And then you near the end of lap 1 with the glider and all that, which gives you a chance to breathe and wonder what this game is about to throw at you next. Then you enter lap 2, which has these water currents, forcing you to run even faster than you want to. Even if you don't want to, this can lead to some insane shortcut opportunities, which goes on for quite a while, but I like it honestly. And also gives you an opportunity to see how phenomenal this track is aesthetically, and an opportunity to appreciate how good the music is, because holy hell, what is that melody? I just love it. And then we enter the final lap after an intensive gliding segment, which has you turning 90 degrees, I recall correctly, which has you jumping between conveyor belt to conveyor belt on boost panels and ramps, on the red ramps. Conveyor belts I meant. And then you're forced to make turns until you enter the pink and green area. Here you have to choose which path to take, and you can switch between them, which is one nice touch as well. That's just something I love about this track. Despite being super narrow most of the time, it also gives you plenty of opportunities, because honestly, that's the kind of like the whole point. Because you're going all the way off to different paths, you're always going to be flying off the track quite a lot. So the fact that you can technically think you've fallen off the track, but be saved by another thing, is just really cool in my opinion. And then you get to the end of the pink and green area, and then you're just driving, making one more turn, which could offer you an opportunity to snag first place or get Mario Karted all the way into last place. But then the cup comes to a close. This cup is just absolutely insane from the very beginning. Not only is it fun throughout, but I also think that it's just a nice breath of fresh air to have 4 tracks that just delivers absolutely good. And that's not really a feat to talk about in Mario Kart 8, since most of the cups achieve that. But I think this cup in particular delivers it perfectly. So for all these reasons, Bell Cup is my favorite cup from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But it's not quite my favorite. We've gone through a ton of cups at this point. 88 cups over 8 different games. And after all this time, only one remains. Over the course of the past 2.5 hours, we've seen pretty much everything the entire Mario Kart series has to offer in terms of its racetracks, except for one final cup. Before 8 tried this out for the video, I was curious to see if this cup would have been topped, but I don't think 8 had anything quite good enough to surpass this. Out of all these cups, there is one that stands above all the rest. What do you think it is? You can argue whether it's Mario Kart's Double Dash's Star Cup, or World's Lightning Cup, or Lucky Cat Cup, or even the Feather Cup, but I can agree that deep down in my heart, the gold medal of cupping has to go to Wii's Star Cup. Oh baby, there is no way that this track cup wasn't going to be at the top spot. And I know it's going to be controversial, but screw you. This is Daisy Circuit this is the definitive version of this kind of track, you have to admit.
This is made even better by the fact that the graphics in this track are just way better in my eyes. I'm not sure why, because Mario Kart 8 is often referred to as having much better graphics, which I totally understand, I'm totally on their side, but this sunset is absolutely untouchable. Just look at this sunset and tell me you wouldn't prefer it over the 8 version. Go on, tell me. You're lying. Damn it, you're lying. And not to mention, I just love how nice the Luigi and Daisy statue looks. And the baby version in the background, if you can see it, and this fountain that's being reflected off the sunlight. And I just love how everything looks here more. The similar textures of Wii honestly kind of help this track more. And the Mario Sunshine cameo with the pinartas, I'm just noticing that. And on top of that, the track layout is really engaging too for a Star Cup opener, since there's tons of turns to keep you on your toes, but just easy enough to the point where you're not going to fly off the track in a rage quit.
And then finally, a not butchered version of Koopa Cake. It's actually fun with the electric section. That kind of surprised me, because how is everyone not getting electrocuted to death? Something I also find really charming is that in this photo in particular, you can see Daisy Cruiser in the background. Is this canon? I think so, yeah. Not to mention how you're literally going into the pipe and it makes a little sound effect. I don't think it does that in the other versions. I'll have to check.
I just love the Star Cup sign, and the fact that this is on a mountain. I just love mountains. Can you blame me? And I'm not sure if you noticed, but if you go into the pipe, then there's another track that plays, like different rendition, that sounds so much more soothing. And I just love the electric spinny thingies. I don't know what those are, but oh well. 7 and 8 just refused to open those back into the game, and I just don't know why, because this track absolutely is peak with them. I just love how it looks and all. Especially with the sunset, technically not sunset, but more of a sunrise, but good god, it still looks amazing. It's giving me Wii Sports Resort vibes. It's more of a summertime track if I'm being real, since there's tons of water to go out and all that. And the track is so much fun too, with the half pipes, the amount of shortcuts, and the waterfall, the adrenaline you get when you escape the pipe and have to go back into the track to go across the finish line. It's just mesmerizing. On top of the view when you're underwater, which is just, can I just fire it up real quick if I can find it in the track. And it's gone. Great. But just because we've covered it twice doesn't mean we can't cover it a third time. This version of Maple Treeway is still peak for one reason alone: the aesthetics. I think 7 and 8's kind of more realistic track aesthetic kind of screws this track over in those games. So with 7 it wasn't so bad, but with 8 it definitely neutered the beauty down quite a bit. But with Wii, there's just something about the untextured moves here and how two-dimensional they are that just makes me fall in love with them even more. Not to mention how some people might look at this track from this angle and just go like, I'm confused. Except for the fact that you have to cannon into the tree, and I just used to rage over this track a lot, mainly because I sucked at it. I always fall off at this certain bridge part. I remember just raging.
And then finally, Grumble Volcano. I love it so much.
While this might not be my favorite track in this cup, that would go to Koopa and Maple, this is still an absolute banger. I just love everything about it. From the absolutely intense purple and blue sky thing that gives off N64 Bowser Castle over again. The lava that's just gonna burn you no matter how you look at it, because you either roast to death or fall in. The volcano on the inside, and the numerous amount of displaying pathways you get to take halfway through. I think we mentioned this when we covered it in Lightning Cup, I think we did, but over the course of this track, the longer you go, for the second lap, some parts of the track will start falling down. And then by the time the third lap comes around, most of the track is gone, so you have to traverse it even better. I love that gimmick. Words cannot express how much I love that, because it just adds this layer of charm the others are unable to replicate, and it adds that challenge to end off what was already an amazing cup. I'm just adding this second analysis in just for the fact that I hope you guys think that I actually love this cup, and it's not just biased therefore.
So, for having a phenomenal scale and difficulty, a variety of different locations with a normal circuit, a canyon, a forest to a volcano, and overall just my Wii bias in general, having a ton of fan favorites, very consistent quality with all of them making the top 10 for this game, I think Wii Star Cup will absolutely take home the W of being the best track, in being the best cup in the entire Mario Kart series. So, and ladies and gentlemen, there you have the final list. And just like that, gamers, this absolute marathon of a video has finally come to a natural end. And that's it for your day. That's every single cup ranked from last place all the way to Wii Star Cup. This took way longer than I expected, but honestly, I'm really happy with how it turned out. Whether you agree with my placement or you think I've committed a ranking crime, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you made it all the way to the end of this absolute monster of a project, thank you with all my heart. Seriously, I cannot express enough gratitude. This was an absolutely massive project, and knowing people enjoy these videos will make it all the effort worth it. If you want more rankings, breakdowns, or deep dives like this, just let me know. I've got plenty of ideas happening. But I think this absolute marathon of a video has finally come to an end. Thank Bowser Jr. for the Galaxy movie, and with that, there's your law.